disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Then let me tell you why.
It's gonna be alright, Nicky. Go ahead. Shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Everybody to the BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's your good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you, as we're going to be detailing all the fights that took place last night. There was a little bit of everything for everybody. A little bit of something for everybody, right? I mean, come on, we had knockouts, we had upsets, we had back and forth affairs. A lot of things were moving the boxing needle yesterday. Moved it quite a lot, let me tell you. Before we get down to the... and we will be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour, and we got a lot to get to before England plays in the Euro today. So we gotta get through a lot of these things fast here. So shout out to everybody. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business out of the way, fellas. If you know the drill, you can donate a couple of shekels to us via the Super Chat feature. Always helps us out. It's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel. Right, fellas? Spread it nice and wide. If you choose to, you can also join the Patreon page, and you can fund some of our independent documentaries for as low as $2 per month, I believe. Really helps us out. If enough people get it together, You can really help us out to fund these documentaries. We are working on Boxing's Most Shocking Moments of All Time, Volume 2, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. And if you do go to Spotify, make sure to hit that 5-star button rating. All right, fellas? Let's give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about the Quags. Shout out to him. One of the initiated. Danny, Quentin Lassiter. Who else here? Juan, Mr. Pelavacas, Eparocua, J.A., Nightmare, another one of the initiated. Shout out to him. El Gordo. El Gordo. Reese Mac, Case Study, Noe, Trooper 5131, Eparocua, Sean Anthony, one of the initiated as well. Reese Mac, Bray. Who else we got here? Chandler Walls. All right, Chandler Walls, J.A., and many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Let's get that. Well, actually, let me invite a couple of people over here, and then we'll get down to it. Like I said, I think I mentioned this, right? So much to get to, but we will be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour. So that's why we got to get through a lot of this stuff real quick, because otherwise I don't think we'll have the time to cover everything. There was even some outside the ring drama. In fact, there's some outside the ring drama taking place right now on Twitter. When we were talking about Haney versus Tank Davis. That's right, Haney has entered the fray here via Floyd Mayweather. So we'll see, we'll talk about that. All right, so for those of you that didn't watch the fights yesterday, spoilers. Hold on a second. Yeah, so spoilers. We had Tank Davis taking on Frank Martin yesterday for a piece of a lightweight bubble. And as usual, Tank Davis started out getting outworked, getting outboxed. Then he turned it up late and was able to bail himself out with his power. I mean, this is the story of Tank Davis's life so far, his career, that he drops rounds, but he believes that his power is going to get it done. And so far, it has been getting it done. One thing I liked about the fight, you know, because people always talk about how Davis runs away, and I certainly was one of those people. I said, come on, I mean, this guy's always same game plan for the last 3 years. He faces big punches, he starts running around the ring, trying to run people into something. But this time, he was actually putting on pressure. Now, there were some flaws with his approach early on. He wasn't really doing anything. In fact, when he was he was trying to pressure and wear him down. You could see that was the plan. But you could also tell that he was trying to land some shots in between to try to edge the rounds, and he wasn't doing that. He was getting outboxed. And then once he started letting his hands go, then Frank Martin couldn't cope with it. He couldn't handle the heat, and he started backing himself up into the ropes. And that's where Tank Davis whacked him with what was it? It was an uppercut that stunned him, I believe, and then it was a follow-up left hand. And let me tell you something, he caught him with a wallop in there. And laid him out. Like when a guy gets laid out on his back, that's when you know, okay, that was a big shot. It was a big old shot. And I don't understand that the CompuBox numbers, they had it relatively close. I didn't see Tank Davis landing anything early, at least not in the first 5 rounds. Then after the 5th, he started pushing. And that's the other thing that people need to understand too in boxing. If you are fighting a shorter guy, don't get on the ropes and stand there. You know, you got to change levels a little bit. And Frank Martin was doing that in certain spots. But you can, if you want to learn how to fight off the ropes, look at how Puello was doing it against Russell Jr. He was getting backed up, but then he would change levels. He would make himself more compact the nearer he got to the ropes. And other guys don't do that. But the other problem with Frank Martin was, one of the things we were talking about going into the fight was he's got the speed, he does have power, he's got technique, but does he have the wherewithal to go in there and handle Tank Davis? And you could tell that as soon as Tank Davis started opening up, the guys, Frank Martin started falling apart. And he would back straight up into the ropes. And then once he was on the ropes, he was like, okay, now I'm going to get out of him. He's like, no, fucker, you're supposed to stand the center of the ring. Tank Davis, I mean, if you think about it, Tank Davis was feinting a little bit, but most of it was just him putting up the earmuffs and walking him down, and Frank Martin going, oh shit, he's putting pressure on me, therefore I got to back up. That's one of the things that we talked about before the fight, that you could see it in the Hartunian fight too. Whenever he opened up and went to Hartunian's body, he hurt him. Hurt him in the 6th round, let him off the hook. Why? Because Frank Martin is wired to be a boxer. Then in the 12th round, he hurt Hartunian, finally, but a little bit, for some people it was a little bit too late, but they still gave him the decision. And here against Tank Davis, his true colors came out. It's true, he couldn't handle the pressure. And so Tank Davis now moves on as a undefeated fighter. What's his record again here? Hold on, I'm trying to look it up. It's under 30 fights, right? I believe. I'm looking at the boxing scene article. It doesn't give you any stats or anything. Hold on a second. I got to go to champignon.com to see his record. It's outrageous that they don't give you his record anymore in articles. Like, you're supposed to memorize it. Who's got the time to memorize records anymore? Man, when you were a kid, baseball stats and all that, but come on, records nowadays, they're all flimsy on top of that. Although, again, flip side to that coin is that they're so flimsy, you should be able to memorize them. Tank Davis's record is 30-0. Yeah, okay, I was right. 30-0, 28 knockouts. Pretty flashy record, which a lot of people now are. But, it's interesting. I went on Twitter. I didn't see too many people overhyping this. I expected people to overhype this win. And again, going into this fight, we did about 4 episodes this week about all the fights on Saturday and specifically trying to hype this one up. There wasn't any buzz. And the way I'm looking at it now on Twitter, there's not really buzz. There's no real buzz after this knockout. I mean, you're getting it from the usual suspects, the Tank Davis hardcore fans. But other than that, most people aren't really praising this guy as being top 10 pound for pound. And I think that's because, maybe people are getting tired of him fighting 7-1 underdogs. I don't know. You guys tell me. We're going to be opening up the phone lines, and I want to hear from you. Because I really want to try to keep my finger on the pulse of the boxing world. And just another thing here, I was able to look up the CompuBox numbers for the fight. And once again, Tank Davis was getting outlanded in this fight. He was getting outworked, getting outboxed. And he threw 178 punches. 100 less than Frank Martin. So it begs the question. Some people are waking up now and saying, whoa, these Tank Davis fights, they really do look Deontay Wilderish, where he's getting outboxed, he's not doing anything, and then he opens up and he gets a knockout. And you got to wonder, okay, he's getting away with it with these guys. Can he do it against better opposition? He couldn't do it against Isaac Cruz. Barely got it done against Mario Barrios. And against Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, we saw about 6 rounds of him just, running around the ring and getting it done. But then again, against Barrios and Ryan Garcia, he had a dehydration clause. So, I mean, I don't know. It's the smoke and mirrors seems to work with some people here. It looked like they did good numbers at the MGM or whatever it was. But I'm curious to see the pay-per-view numbers here. But, Frank Martin, he can be proud that the fact that he only had about 15 fights and he stepped in there against a guy who had double those fights. And he did well against there in spots. But then again, he fell apart later on. And, you give Tank Davis credit for making him fall apart. But at this point, what's next for Tank Davis? Because, we understand that he says he wants this guy, he wants that guy. But for 6 years, he didn't want anything part of Lomachenko. Now that Lomachenko's 35, now all of a sudden he wants him. Okay, cool. But you got to wonder, why go after Lomachenko when there's young American fighters in your vicinity? I don't know. It's weird. This is what he had to say. This is what Tank Davis had to say about certain fights. He said about Lomachenko, he says, sure, he'd fight Lomachenko later this year. And he says he expected to be an ass whooping. He also said he wants all that smoke, he says. He said, Ryan Garcia was at the fight, by the way. We're going to talk about that. He stirred things up in the arena. He says, Ryan, he's crazy. He was talking about a rematch. He said, I was the best at 135 and 142. He says he wants to fight me again. I'll kick his ass again. Kicking someone's ass means, you beat him up and all that. He dropped Garcia twice in between not doing anything. I hardly call that an ass whooping. But, if that's what he wants to go with, we can't stop him. So he says Loma was going to be a ass whooping, and then he said, they brought up Stevenson, I think, at one point. They should have. He'd fight Lomachenko later this year. He gave his thoughts on how a fight between him and Stevenson would go. Tank, smiling, said, that the fight would pretty much see Tank chasing Stevenson around the ring. He said, for sure, I'm willing to fight all of them. My prediction on Lomachenko's ass whooping, and then he said, if I fought Stevenson, you know how it would go. Everybody in this room knows how it would go. I guess it would be it would be good for the sport if we fought. He guesses that it would be good for the sport. I mean, so he has to think about whether him fighting another fellow undefeated guy is good for the sport. Of course it's good for the sport. What are these people talking about? So I don't know, man. It's there were rumors prior to the fight, to this Saturday's fight, that maybe Davis was going to fight Lomachenko and that they were going to get in there in some time later on. That the PBC and Top Rank were in discussions for that fight, but it makes you wonder whether that's what's going to happen or not. I don't know. One thing I did like about the fight, like I said, was that Tank Davis was putting pressure. Usually his modus operandi is running around the ring, trying to run guys into something. But I suppose he was forced to do it because he knew Frank Martin wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to walk into any one shot. So he actually had to make the fight happen. Some people were comparing Tank Davis to Canelo. But Canelo actually parries shots while moving forward. Tank Davis was putting up the earmuffs, blocking some shots. And then whenever he would see something big, he would jump back. So he wasn't exactly... I was surprised that he wasn't parrying more. I thought he was going to be doing more of that. He was essentially just blocking shots on the guard, but it was every once in a while he would move the guard, so it was an active guard in that respect. What was the other thing that I wanted to say about that? Oh yeah, so if he fights Shakur Stevenson, you got to wonder, like, okay, how would that fight go? Would Shakur Stevenson? We got to see how Shakur Stevenson looks, first of all. I think it's a winnable fight that he's got against Hartunian. I think if not only a winnable fight, I think he can stop Hartunian. If he plants his feet and finishes the job that Frank Martin couldn't in that Hartunian fight, I think he could stop him and redeem himself. But it's clear that the Tank Davis doesn't really want to fight him. And his trainer, Clay, what's his name again? Clay Davis. I always call him Clay Davis. Said as much in a podcast. He said, look, why would we want to fight together? We have to chase around the ring. And you know what? I can't blame the Tank Davis team. The Lomachenko fight would generate more buzz. I think it would be more entertaining because Lomachenko doesn't run. And Shakur Stevenson, you never know if he's going to blow weight. You never know if he's going to hit you in the balls and the referee's going to allow it. So, yeah, they're in a bit of a hard place right now with Shakur Stevenson. And who knows if he's going to resign with Top Rank. So, we got Never Sobers here. Jumping in. Sobers, are you there?
What's up, VDA? Can you hear me?
What's up, man? Yeah, I can hear you, man. I can hear you. What were your thoughts on the main event, PBC main event between Tank Davis and Frank Martin last night?
Well, when I made my prediction, I got it a little bit off. I said like Davis in 11, but when I made a bet on it, I had Davis ending it in under 9.
Whoa.
I was right on that. He did it on the 8. So that fight kind of went how I thought. Frank Martin did okay. He did well. He was outboxing him. But everyone outboxes Davis until after the 6th round. Davis kind of just walked him down the whole time. He just walked at him. He didn't jab or nothing. He just put pressure on him and he exhausted him. And Frank Martin was fighting like a scared rabbit, like sprinting around from corner to corner. He was landing good combinations, but it didn't look there was nothing on him. And it just looked like Davis had him figured out before the when I seen the face off and I seen Davis kind of like buck at him and like Martin flinch, I was like, oh, this fool's scared. And it reflected in the fight. He was fighting scared the whole time. And then after the 6th round, Davis said he has nothing more on his shots. And Coach Calvin was worried because I remember in between the 6th and 7th, he said, we need every round. We need every fucking round now. And, he was like saying with urgency to Davis. And Davis knew what he was doing. The dude was just sitting in the corner at a certain point and just letting Davis look for the knockout shot, So it kind of went how I saw. I wasn't too surprised. A
little Freudian slip there from Never Sobers that he was really for
yeah,
No, it's okay. Listen, it's okay. Georgia, you got to stand together, man. He's essentially a Georgia.
I'm behind Brian Norman. I'm behind Brian Norman Jr.
Oh, there you go. Now, yeah, because essentially Davis is a Georgia fighter for all intents and purposes. But yeah, man, I mean, he was able to. I don't know. What did you think? Did you like that Tank Davis finally was able to walk down somebody, and he changed his approach?
Well, I mean, I feel like people will say he has 2 different styles, right? People who are fans of him, they say he has a boxer who moves around and that's how he usually gets outboxed. He usually loses rounds until he switches his mode and he kind of just comes forward. And guys usually can't handle that pressure, but it takes him a while for that to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see anything too new from Davis. You know what I mean? He does fight where he moves around, and then he does have the style where he just walks. He doesn't jab or nothing. He just puts pressure on these guys, and I guess they can't hurt him. He must have a good chin.
Yeah, I think he does have a good chin. And I said that before the fight, too. I think this guy is comfortable taking a punch, but he's not comfortable taking too many. In other words, he doesn't really want to pressure. And he was able, he pressured Frank Martin because he had to. Because Frank Martin was going to play his game of moving. So we couldn't have two guys moving. So since Tank Davis felt like he had the power advantage, he said, well, I got to go chase him and eventually catch him. And he did. But Sobers, the Tank Davis fight is sort of getting, his scintillating knockout is sort of getting outshined or overshadowed because Floyd Mayweather, his former mentor and promoter, just posted the full Tank Davis Devin Haney sparring footage. And again, boxing fans know that sparring doesn't really mean much. But in the eyes of some people, especially in that community, for them, the sparring is like, oh shit, it might as well be a fight. So people are, we're going to talk about how some people feel about the footage, but let's just give people a snippet of Devin Haney and Tank Davis sparring. And I believe people are saying that this sparring took place when Haney was 16. So let's have a gander.
30 seconds! 30 seconds!
I just hear animal noises.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. Are you watching the footage?
I'm watching the footage.
Okay. Jeez, Luis. Come on. It's a Sunday show, man. Sobers,
come on, the Atlanta Zoo, bro.
It's a Sobers, come on, man. It's a Sunday show. What are you doing here?
Okay, my bad, man. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
There's also a clip, I don't think I have it here, where Tank Davis stops to talk to somebody in the crowd and Haney runs up behind him and clocks him, which is...
That happens a couple times in the footage BDA. Davis, he gets easily distracted or something when he's sparring, because I've seen multiple clips of him where he's sparring somebody and then someone says something to him outside the ring and he'll just turn completely away from his opponent and start talking to them, and the opponent will come and clock him in the side of the head. So I don't know what it is in his head about that. Where if you can get in his ear, you can get him distracted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's low impulse control. And by the way, some people are saying, "Oh, it was a cheap shot, whatever." Look, when you're sparring, it's standard protocol. It's like a fight in the sense that it's not a real fight, but it's the same thing as you're simulating a fight, and so you got to protect yourself at all times. You do not turn your back to your opponent and start talking. Bernard Hopkins, I remember there was a story. He was sparring Tarvis Sims. And they were about to start the round, and the round started, and Sims was still talking to his trainer or something, and Hopkins just went behind him and clocked him. Now he didn't hit him super hard, but he clocked him, saying, "Hey, what the fuck you doing, man? You're supposed to be training here, simulating for a fight, and you're there talking to." In other words, you gotta stay composed in sparring and tight, otherwise there's a risk that you might get lax in the actual fight. You train how you fight, so he sort of. I don't know what, you're right. Maybe Tank Davis was getting heated too much. Maybe he was losing his composure. And you have to wonder if somebody can take that.
I saw some of that footage. BDA. A lot of it is Davis. I don't know, bro. Like that environment with everyone's hooping and hollering, that just gets him out of it. And Devin Haney tried to hit him hard, and he couldn't even move him. So it just, they better hope they never fight for real. I was watching that footage, and a lot of it was, you could tell that Floyd Mayweather was still like mentoring Haney in that moment, and he didn't really fuck with Davis. Like they didn't know each other that well, whatever it was, because the entire time he was coaching Haney, he was kind of pulling Davis back. You can tell like they were treating him like the away guy. You know what I mean? They were when Davis started kind of like going in on Haney, Floyd would kind of grab him. You know what I'm saying? Try to separate them. He was trying to protect Devin Haney the whole time, and when Devin, there's another moment where Davis kind of starts like talking to someone else out the ring, And Floyd's like, hit him, hit him, hit him. And he starts punching him in the back. And Davis is like, hold on, let me get some water, whoop-de-whoop. And Floyd's like, nah, fuck that. Keep going, Devin, keep going. Tire him out, make him quit. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell that they were treating Davis like he wasn't like a friendly character in that moment. Like
well, it's like right now that begs the question: what was the context behind the sparring? Had Tank Davis sparred before that day? Had he had a rough training session that day? Was Haney training for a fight and Tank not? Was Tank Davis just coming into camp or something? There's not much that we can extrapolate from this. Although we can assume certain things, but like Sober said, Tank Davis is there with the earmuffs up and he's just taking the shots. In a real fight, if he puts the earmuffs up like as he did against Frank Martin last night, I don't know if Haney can actually hurt him, because Haney, he's got velocity on his shots, but I've never really seen him break through guards. I mean, he couldn't break through Jojo Diaz's guard, and that's another short, stocky, strong fighter like Tank Davis. The difference is Tank Davis hits harder. Sobers, that's what in 2019 when Diaz gave Haney that hard fight, difficult fight, I said, oof, I don't know if Davis can beat this dude. I mean, I don't know if Haney can beat Tank Davis. Then Tank Davis started looking, dropping rounds after rounds in multiple fights. And I said, no, I think Haney can outbox him. Straight shots, good jab, keep him turning. But I don't know anymore. How would you see that fight going?
Well, I could see Devin Haney beating him. You know what I mean? You guys can't let, because I see a lot of people are doing this. They're like, dang, he looks so great, this and that. He was in there with a guy that I saw him doing that to. And I think most people saw him knocking out Frank Martin. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like he did what he was supposed to. It did look good, though. He did knock him out brutally where, he was fucking stiff body. But it's like we saw that coming. We knew Frank Martin wasn't on the level. And even with someone like Haney who can't punch, he still has all the physical attributes like the length, the size, the foot speed. Until Frank Martin looked tired after the 6th round, he was outboxing Davis. And if Haney can go in there discipline, he can outbox this dude too. He probably won't even let him near him. And now, if he has a right ref, he won't touch him, bro. As soon as he gets close, he's gonna get that iron, that kung fu grip behind his arms and clinch up.
Yeah, so, because
you know what I mean. It's a little bit different.
Because some people feel, Sobers, that if Haney couldn't handle Ryan Garcia's power, how's he gonna handle that? The same thing would happen essentially between him and Davis.
Style make fights, baby. I don't know. I don't think. I think Ryan kind of hits harder than Davis, and I don't know if Davis can catch Haney when he's throwing a jab like that. His arms might not be long enough.
That's a good point.
Throws a left hook with him.
That's a good distinction, because Ryan Garcia was actually punching a little bit lower to get to Haney, whereas Davis is the guy that would have to make Haney drop his hands by coming forward. And if Haney can see him coming, maybe he can keep him turning. Because again, Lomachenko was able to beat Haney by coming forward and throwing punches in bunches. Tank Davis doesn't do that. Again, he's going to be relying on one punch at a time. He's going to try to get one punch to get it done. And if he can't, what's he going to do? What's plan B? Calvin Ford, if he can't get it done, you're going to see Calvin Ford have a heart attack in there. He's going to have an aneurysm too, maybe.
I'm telling you, BDA. Davis knew what he was doing against Frank Martin, but Calvin Ford didn't. Because after that 6th round, or was it 7th, he said, bro, we need every fucking round. We need every round now. You know what I mean? So he says, you cannot slip no more. So he wasn't sure if Davis was planning on getting that knockout or not.
What were the official scorecards? Now that you mention it.
Well, I don't even remember, bro.
I don't think did they? Hey, guys, in the chat, please let us know, man. I'm looking it up here in the boxing scene article. They don't say. Interesting. Okay, just found it. Martin was behind on all cards 67-66. Okay, so the cards were already in. They were already they were gonna give Tank Davis the benefit of the doubt. I mean, he didn't do anything the first 4 rounds. He's ahead in the 8th. So somebody gave him the first 5 rounds. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. This is why none of these American fighters want to fight each other, because they all get little tricks up their sleeves. Ryan Garcia blowing weight, Shakur Stevenson blowing weight and low blows, Tank Davis with rehydration clauses, which I'm starting to agree with, by the way, though. with some of the weight bullying going on. Devin Haney with the weight bullying and the judges in his pocket. So yeah, everyone has these little tricks, and I think that's why none of these undefeated American fighters, want to fight each other. And in fact, Irish Andrew Ward has a meme about how whenever they ask these American fighters whether they want to fight another American fighter, they always go, we're just gonna go back to the drawing board. It is what it is. That's a big fight down the line. Definitely want to see that happen. But they never tell you, yeah, we're going to try to make it happen. We're going to push for it. Then again, that's, nobody really does that anymore. They're all afraid of calling somebody out because they don't want to look like the B-side, like, oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he has to come see me. So it's a whole bunch of posturing from a lot of these fighters. But yeah, I'm surprised that a lot of people want Davis to go after Lomachenko, but they're not pressing him to fight some of the undefeated fighters, American fighters around him. So
they're saying that now, BDA, because they think he can beat Lomachenko now. You know what I mean? When 2019, he's in no rush. They're just echoing whatever Floyd was saying. We can take our time. He has to hurry. You know what I'm saying?
We want to keep things in-house, We don't make other companies great. We work in-house. That's what Floyd Mayweather said. But here's the other thing then. So that sparring session came out then, Haney versus Tank Davis. And Ishii Smith and some of the people that dislike Floyd Mayweather came out and they said they had something to say about it. Ishii Smith, for example, said it's always some video, some post. This guy, talking about Mayweather, is the best. No, excuse me. This guy's the best. That guy's the best. Releasing sparring videos. I'm jealous of what though? I have $100 million house. I make $300 million a month. Dude is a fucking clown and a hater. Always has been. So Ishii Smith is referring to Floyd Mayweather. But it's this type of thing that Floyd Mayweather did, releasing this sparring footage where Tank Davis didn't look all that good, is sort of in the same vein. I don't know what you guys think. You let me know. We got Jimmy jumping in here. Isn't this in the same vein as when the PBC posted the Ryan Garcia Tank Davis fight right after Garcia beat Haney? Like sort of try to usurp him, try to ride off the momentum. Isn't that in the same vein? Like you're trying to just, what do they say? Cap or cloud chase? Yeah.
The word is BDA is like it's that word right there. It's petty. Whoever's running the PVC, I mean, we know who is, and releasing these videos, it's like really, it's really high levels of petty.
Yeah, I think this.
Yeah, it's just like that's unnecessary, and it's like something you expect like your ex-girlfriend to do. Maybe and you're like, why is this bitch still like trying to tug at my nuts?
Yeah, I mean,
you haven't talked to her for 6 months or whatever.
I think a lot of these guys who run the PBC media thing are, they watch Oprah, the O Network, and all that. Because we're pressed for time here. But Jimmy, I want to get your thoughts on the Tank Davis Frank Martin fight. What did you think about what went down last night?
He expected. We saw a limited, skilled kid who's barely been in the pros, who came in out of nowhere 2 years ago. Nobody knew who Frank Martin was. This is the same game plan. Everything's rinse and repeat. Nobody knew who Isaac Cruz was. He fought on a Showtime Showbox card. Looked like shit. Suddenly, his name started being bounced around as a future opponent. No, they ended up matching him with somebody. He ended up getting a knockout. Right after that spectacular knockout against an absolute nobody, they announced him as a future Tank Davis opponent. The propaganda started. Same thing with Frank Martin. Guy in his mid-20s, has no amateur record to speak of. Nobody's ever heard of him on the amateur level. Never turned any heads. Comes in out of nowhere. Has never really beat anybody besides another unproven Muhammad Ali wannabe haircut guy there. I forget his name, Rivera. And then that was it. And then looked horrible his last outing because he's not even adjusted. Listen, I saw that kid do so many things wrong last night. So many things wrong. It would take 10 minutes to go through all the shit that kid did wrong, from his overly wide stance, backing into the corner, putting himself against the ropes. He wasn't being fought there. He was backing himself into the corner. Listen, it was a horrible performance by Martin. He fought like somebody who was afraid to get knocked out, and he did. It's just, yeah.
You know what?
Nothing. Jimmy, I'm not impressed by it because, listen, I'm sorry. What's up, BDA?
No, go ahead, guys. Sorry, because I thought you were done.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like Lomachenko, for instance, he would stay in his grill. He would step to the side, and as he's turning Davis, right, as Davis turns to punch him with one of those looping shots he kind of throws which is actually pretty decent, he'd be getting pieced up. You know, Loma doesn't run backwards, pull out. And when you pull out like that, what you're doing is you're setting up a heavy power puncher who's bringing his weight over his front foot, and he's walking downhill at you. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, when you go to kick a ball, most guys, you don't stand still and just kick it. You want to get a running start. There's a reason for that. Momentum, inertia, everything.
Excellent.
And a power puncher, that's the worst thing. Back straight up in that stupid, you know, not moving your head, but holding your hands up. So you just okay, tee off on me. I'll see if I can block it. For no reason. I think what happened, nerves got to him and his legs were gone. I think he was sucking air like Never Sober said early. He was breathing out his mouth in the 5th round. I think the nerves got to him. He saw it in his eyes when, you know, announcing him. That was a big thing. Like, there's progressions, you know, there's levels you're supposed to reach to prepare you for those big fights. You saw the difference with Davis, how relaxed he was, like it's old hat, because he's been through it a bunch of times. So that's just what they do. They pick up guys. They're completely talked up. They have no achievements. Everything they are is just all been verbalized. And here's the thing, PBC fans, and especially Tank Davis fans, just because you say a thing doesn't make the thing true, okay? Frank Martin was a nobody, an unranked nobody who was never going to be world champion, and we'll watch this. Like all of other Tank's wins, this will not age well, because Tank Martin will fight himself into obscurity. He'll never be world champion, and it is what it is. And we've waited 9 years. We've watched him duck, dodge, weave every top opponent in any weight class he's fucking performing in. And this is just more of the same and more of the, you know, spectacular knockout. Yeah, great. You're knocking out hand-picked no-hopers. Big fucking deal. You know what I mean? It's so funny that the same dudes who fucking put him on a pedestal will shit on every Inoue, who's knocking out in even more devastating fashion in earlier rounds the best of every division. But he needs to come to the United States to become famous. It's just lunacy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Couple of things about what you said.
BDA?
Couple of things about what you said. Yeah, that I was talking about that the Frank Martin backing himself up in a corner, and I mean I give Tank Davis because I like that. I like the fact that Tank Davis actually put up the earmuffs there, Jimmy, and chased him down. He changed it up. He changed up his style compared to what he was doing in the last couple of years. But you're right, though. I do think that Martin. You're right. He took his legs away because Tank Davis did tell his corner. He says, "Hey, I feel the steam coming out of his punches." And, you know, that was one of the things. I wouldn't call Frank Martin a no-hoper, though, because he was winning the fight. And by the way, he wasn't winning the fight on the official scorecards. They were in already for Tank Davis. They all had him winning by 1 round. But he was giving Tank Davis the business. He was outboxing him. So he had the tools and all that. But what he didn't have was what we were talking about before the fight. We were questioning that. We were saying, okay, he's got speed, he's got good power, but does he have that X factor? And you know what? What we saw in the Hartunian fight ended up translating here and costing him in this one, because he had Hartunian hurt in the 6th and he let him off the hook. Went back to trying to be the cutie boxer. And so, you know, it's Frank Martin has the tools to be something more, but he just doesn't have that mentality. He has that mentality, like you said, oh shit, somebody's coming up at me with a guard, I gotta back up. And they back up and straight into a guard. Yep. You saw guys like, you know, from the Ukrainian school of boxing or the Soviet school of boxing, they don't just run towards the ropes. They try to circle. And then if they have no other option, yeah, they'll back up and they'll go to the ropes and then they'll try to pivot off. But some of these guys in the West here, they back up, hit the ropes, and then they try to spin off the ropes. It's like, nah, man, you're supposed to, like Jimmy said, hold the center of the ring. Don't panic. And that's what we saw from Frank Martin. He started panicking, and the moment got to him. But Jimmy,
his punching power is so overrated. I just was going to add that, completely overrated. He's the Keith Thurman. The minute he steps up into the A class, like you knock out the guys, the journeymen, and I no disrespect to those guys coming up. Boxing wouldn't even be where it's at without they're the backbone of the sport. Not the guys we pay to see on pay-per-view. Right. It's the dudes with the 8-13 record. You know what I mean? Without them, the sport's dead. But anyways, the minute they step up to that elite level, all of a sudden the knockouts go away. Like you wouldn't have seen Frank Martin knocking out the elites. He just doesn't have that kind of power. Not with a wide stance like that. I haven't checked to see other fights to see if it was as wide. I think he was doing that so he could get out of the way of his punches. He was scared shit of Tank's power. That was obvious. And at no time did Tank at any time ever look hurt? I never saw him look hurt.
No, and here's the thing though, it's interesting when you see guys like Isaac Cruz pushing Tank Davis back. You see Mario Barrios holding the center of the ring. Dehydrated Mario Barrios. Ryan Garcia pressing Tank Davis. Rolly Romero pressing him. Frank Martin had, I agree with you, I think some people were over in his power, although I didn't see many people, but he did have decent power to that if he stood his ground, he could have made Tank Davis hesitant. And, spending it on the back foot, he ended up wasting away his legs. But that's the other thing that I wanted to mention is, you brought up Inoue. Yeah, like, look, Tank Davis pursued a Rolly Romero fight. Even after Romero was expelled by Showtime temporarily after his outside the ring hijinks, they still went after Rolly Romero, who wasn't even never rated in the top 10 lightweight rankings by Ring Magazine. He was never in the top 10 lightweight rankings. That's the guy that they were going after. They went after Barrios, who wasn't a top 5 junior welterweight, and then they had to dehydrate him. So it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's all going to come crashing down for Tank Davis. But his fans don't want to hear it, and we're gonna, it's going to be the same thing with Wilder. After he ends up taking losses, people are going to start saying, "Oh, well, he didn't have it anymore. He didn't have it anymore." Nah, it's not that he didn't have it anymore. He never had it. Don't get me wrong. Tank Davis is a good fighter. He's got good defense off the back foot. He's got obviously that tremendous power. He's got good instincts, but he doesn't put it together at the same time. And it's because of the opposition that he's been fighting. So I guess we'll just leave it at that and talk.
You notice, too, real quick, his lower back. The reason why he was in good shape last night, but the reason why he looked fleshy around his lower back is because that's an indicator of blowing up to exorbitant weight between fights. What happens is you get older, right? Your back, your kidneys, that's the last place where fat dissipates off a male body. So that's the reason why he'll just stay loose, and he'll always store fat back there. And that's because he blows up so much between, which goes to show you. And I haven't seen. I mean, the kid who fought Pedraza 7 years ago, I was much more impressed with, much more than I saw last night.
That was one of the last shining periods there for Tank Davis. All right, we got to move on here to the Benavidez fight, because on the undercard, the much anticipated David Benavidez moved to 175, taking on the former champion Alexander Gvozdyk, albeit a 37-year-old version of that fighter. Nevertheless, Benavidez got off to a good start and then just, went through the motions, never hurt Gvozdyk, never had him in trouble. Gvozdyk seemed comfortable taking the shots. Then later on in the fight, he actually started loading up a little bit more on the shots, and so Benavidez walked away with a unanimous decision. But it left some people wondering, hey, what happened to the monster of 175? Also, one thing I want to mention about this fight is that now Benavidez is saying that he went into the fight injured. He's saying that he had a torn ligament, but that he didn't want to ruin the event, so he continued on. Let me tell you something about David Benavidez. This fight was a little bit like the Gavril fights. He took on somebody that could take his power, and all of a sudden, you saw a big difference between the guy. He started off right out of the gate. The first 2 rounds, he looked, whoa, he's loading up on shots, he's throwing combos. Then after the 6th, Gvozdyk was willing to take him, and the punches turned into slaps. And I've always said that I made a video once where I described Benavidez's punching technique as Roy Jones-esque, where he started whipping those shots. But guess what? Roy Jones oftentimes would slap with his shots. And we saw Benavidez that once he couldn't get a guy out of there, it seemed like he was laboring a little bit there, slapping with his shots. And then on top of that, there were times where he had to actually get a breather in because those fast bursts of him take a lot out of energy. Whereas when he was fighting 168 against lower level opposition, he could keep walking them down because nothing was coming back. But this time he was fighting a guy who could take the punches, take some steam off those shots, and was coming back with pity pat shots that were keeping him distracted. But anyway, Benavidez did end up going up to 175, got the win. And he gave a bit of a non-answer. He says, well, I want to keep taking what's mine at 175, but I also want to fight at 168. Then finally he said he wants to fight in both places. So as always, the Benavidez camp, it's always like they're all over the place. One day he's the Mexican monster, then he doesn't want to be the Mexican monster. Then in the video packages last night, he's back to being the Mexican monster. So that's why I always tell people, don't focus too much on what people say, focus on what they do. And for Benavidez, he has to keep winning. That's all. Doing what he did yesterday. He couldn't get the guy out of there. Okay, but he outworked him. Fine. But now you got to be you got to be certain and sure about what you're going to do. 175 or 168. He says he can make 168 easily. We'll see what happens. Fellas, what were your thoughts on Benavidez' performance against Gvozdyk?
Never sober. You go, bro. If you want.
I was going to say, Benavidez looked really good for the first 6 rounds, but I had him dropping the last 4.
Whoa.
Like, without a doubt. His activity just fell off the cliff. And after he couldn't, like you said, after he couldn't hurt Gvozdyk, kind of didn't sure, he kind of wasn't sure what to do. And I seen him doing those leaping hooks, landing them, and Gvozdyk wasn't even turning his head. Like his neck didn't even move. And that was really interesting, dude. And when you see them standing next to each other, I remember I was talking to my brother about it yesterday, and we were saying, I was like, we seen David's going up to 175, and we were talking about it. Whoopty-whoopty goes, yeah, man, David's big as hell. He's huge. And I was like, look at him next to Gvozdyk. He doesn't look huge. He looks small. He looks soft, and he looks weak. And he did look faster. He was showing some good head movement. But like I said, bro, after the eighth round, dude, he dropped every round after that to me. And if Gvozdyk looked like he had a little more going on him, he might have stole the fight. He wasn't going to win on the cards, but like we could have seen, like to the fans, we could have saw what happened, right? And afterwards, in the press conference, within the first 5 seconds of him talking on the mic, he was making excuses about his wrist and his shoulder, his cut, and the energy he gave through that whole press conference afterwards was just, he looked really nervous. He was like wringing his wrists together. He was like rubbing his hands together. He didn't know where he wanted to fight at. He kept repeating 168, 168. And it's just like, bro, you shouldn't be at this weight. He looks like he shouldn't be at the weight class. You know what I mean? And at 168, if he cuts it back down, it's gonna hurt him. I think Canelo will fight him now, bro. And I feel like everyone calls me Canelo Dick Rider, blah blah blah. He'll beat him, bro. It's obvious he'll beat him now. If it wasn't before, that's my opinion on the fight. And yeah, I mean he did all right, bro, but he doesn't have the power of 175. It doesn't look like.
Can I just say one thing? Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I like Benavidez' defense. The commentators were making a big deal out of it too. But yeah, it's good defense. I mean, he's got a good active guard. He can move the head when he wants to. Every once in a while, he would do the shoulder roll. The guy has a lot of defensive tools in his arsenal, which prevented Gvozdyk from landing anything big as well. Jimmy, what were your thoughts on the fight?
All right. Well, a couple of things. Let me start off by
what the fuck was that? All right.
Well, from what much is given, much is expected. He is considered the boogeyman, the guy Canelo's avoiding. All right, he's the monster. There was nothing monstrous about that performance last night. Let's break down who we fought. A 37-year-old who's been out of boxing for almost 4 years, closer to 4 years than 3, who quit boxing because he was so beaten and hurt by Benavidez that he questioned his chin. That's what happened when you get a kid who gets knocked out. The first thing, that's rough on a dude, right? So the reason why I said going into this fight, I said a lot's going to be able to see on how Gvozdyk acts. Does he trust his skin? I mean, his chin. Has enough time gone by that the fucking skeletons in his head, you know what I mean? Like subsided. The voice about, oh, you can't take a shot. Because when you get knocked out and you're beat up and hurt bad like that, just question it. I saw it in the first round. I'm like, shit. Like I said, never sober last time. I'm like, God damn it. I just knew this was not going to be the Gvozdyk we needed to see. That was not the nail. He fought nervous, meaning he was pity-padding. Everybody saw it. He was pity-padding his shots. He wasn't turning over on him. And the reason he wasn't turning over on his shots is he was waiting for Benavidez to take the steam out of his punches, which usually most fighters, in the same case with Benavidez last night, around the 6th round, you notice a significant drop. And here's the thing, Benavidez, with someone like him, that's the worst thing to do with somebody like him because it grows confidence in him. That's when he started walking in and throwing those big looping bombs. The problem is when you start throwing bombs like that and you don't connect, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot more out of somebody to swing and miss than it is to swing and connect. A hell of a lot more. So, and then the combination of Benavidez realizing, like 175 pounds, he felt them in them legs. Guaranteed. He was like, wow, holy shit. When he was standing up in the 8th round, getting off the stool or whatever, he was like, wow, legs are feeling fucking heavy because he fought like they were. He wasn't putting out any big offensive burst because he wasn't 100% sure on his fucking conditioning.
Hmm.
He knew he didn't want to get stuck because a guy sucking air is a guy easy to get knocked out. And we saw a noticeable, Never Sober touched on a noticeable drop off, and you did too, of his offense after the 6th round. And that's when Gvozdyk started trying to turn over some of his punches, but by then the steam came off his punches too. The time to chin check Benavidez was in the 1st, 2nd round. You put it on him. That's going to keep him hesitant, not trying to load up with those big punches. So right away I saw like, okay, we got that guy who's not confident in his chin. He didn't fight like he was confident in his chin. So I thought it was going to be just a 12 rounds, and they'll give it to. There's no chance in hell they were going to give that to fucking Gvozdyk unless he really put it on him.
Mm-hmm.
There was just no chance of that happening. So we knew that going in. So my thing now, okay, let's see how monstrous this guy is, because when Canelo, 5'8" Canelo, went up and fought Kovalev at light heavyweight, he fucking blasted him out in the 10th round. So it's just, a little comparison. I'm just saying that was quite the big fucking, and he was, again, 8-1 favorite. 8-1 favorite against a 37-year-old who's been out of boxing 3 years. And at the end of the fight, you're against the ropes and he's fucking throwing the final combination off your head. And that fight was by no means a wash either way. That was a close enough fight. I went back and scored it. I was kind of rushing through it, so I didn't really look at it, but I kind of had it, I think, 115, 113 Benavidez, and I was trying to be as fucking neutral as possible. Yeah, I thought a lot of those punches, Benavidez, he was hitting them with good body shots, right? But a lot of the punches were connecting with his gloves. And, I don't know what the fuck was going on with the guy on CompuBox last night. It was insane because I was watching and I'm like, okay, I just watched like a 6-punch combination. 3 of them didn't even connect whatsoever. Next time I look at CompuBox, he's got 10 more punches landed. I'm like, so you just took fucking 3 punches that fucking 2 of them off the gloves, 3 completely missed. Now all of a sudden he's got 10 more punches landed. The PBC, man, they just a fucking Bush League. You know what I mean? He was the house fighter. He was getting a win. But did he look spectacular? Did he put the shiver down Canelo's spine? Fuck no. Absolutely not.
This just goes to show you
because the guy in front of him has been stopped. But I just want... Anyways, Miss B-Day. So, yeah, I'm done with that.
This just goes to show you how some people overrate certain fighters. Like, with Benavidez, he was like, he can move up to 175 and take care of everybody. Easy. He beats Bivol, he beats Beterbiev. Look, he fought a guy in Gvozdyk, 37-year-old former champ, rather. He couldn't take him out. And then, Bucho brings up a good point. He says Benavidez didn't find like his wrist or hand was injured. He was throwing a lot of punches. Yeah, so either he was injured and he weathered the storm and he said, he bit down and threw those shots, or it's one of those things. It's interesting. I mentioned that in the build-up to this Saturday's fights. I said, when Tank Davis looked less than impressive against Isaac Cruz, he came out with my hand was hurt. And his fans just went, yeah, his hand's hurt. But that's something that always, Joe Calzaghe was notorious for that. Whenever he would look good, he was, I had the best training camp, blah, blah, blah. Then when he would look subpar, he's like, I didn't have a good training camp, and the excuse came flowing. That's just the nature of the game. That's fighters. But Jimmy, in regards to Benavidez's punching technique, did you see a change after a certain amount of rounds? Or what do you think about his punching technique and how the power failed to translate at 175?
He just, a lot of them, they look like if I was him, I wouldn't worry about those 10 punch, big punch combinations. That's for the crowd. You know what I mean? Half the time there was opportunities for him, but I'll tell you, I saw a lot of opportunities for Gvozdyk to throw, and he didn't. He held that right hand back, and he held it back because he was nervous about getting knocked out. He didn't fight like a man confident in his chin. He should have stepped in the middle of the round. I mean, he was a bigger man. He's got a good right, straight right, but there was opportunities for him to throw it. I think when he realized last night, I'm 37. I wouldn't be surprised if he retires after this. I mean, he came back, did what he did, whatever, made some bank or some, coin. I'd probably retire because his body betrayed him last night. His mind did. He definitely did not fight. Those pity-patter punches, go back and look at any of his fights back in his prime. He didn't pity-patter like that. he would do that mixed in with a fucking big right.
Right.
Or a hook. None of that shit last night. He didn't let his hands go with any bad intentions till after the 6th round, till after the power off Benavidez' punches. And it's harder to knock someone out punching down. But here's the thing, that monster thing, okay, now that's 2 of your last 3 fights. Guys have gone the distance. And again, like you said, the narrative was he goes up and destroys everybody, clears out 175. Really? He's going to clear out Benavidez when he can't even clear out the guy fucking Benavidez beat the shit out of? And Bivol would give him a fucking boxing lesson. He's all wrong for us. He should avoid that fight like fucking child support payments. Because his length and his footwork would give him fits. He's not going to catch Bivol with those fucking cross-step fucking lead right hands or looping lefts. And he'd swing and miss in a bunch of those times. The difference is Bivol will make him pay for it. He will, if he makes somebody like Canelo who has much tighter punches and tighter groupings pay for it, he's gonna fucking absolutely make him pay for his misses. Gvozdyk didn't even try to really make him pay for his misses because he was just glad they were missing.
Right.
Be a totally different fight. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And you know what? Gvozdyk, I give him credit because he's an ultimate competitor. He got himself into shape for this one. But it was, like you said, coming off a 2-year layoff. His last 2 fights were the classic tune-ups, actual tune-ups. They were against nobodies. And yet he was able to get off the couch for this one and go the 12 rounds. And so a guy like Jim is saying that he had 7-5. So Benavidez, he's in a bit of a hard place. He's in a bit like the same place that Ricky Hatton was in 2008 and 2007, where he can't make 140 anymore, but at 147, the guys are too big for his style. So it's the same thing with Benavidez. Benavidez, like somebody else in the chat said, a big part, we have to admit that he's entertaining, he throws combinations, you give him all those props, but a big part of his success at 168 is the fact that he's got a big size advantage over everyone else there. So there is that. And can I just say too something? I want to put a moratorium on anything Canelo Benavidez related. I don't want anybody else to come up and, well, I mean, if the callers feel like they want to talk about Canelo Benavidez, I can stop them, but I'm not going to talk about that too much anymore until Benavidez decides he wants to stay at 168 and finally pushes to become the #1 mandatory and enforce his mandatory for one Canelo's belts. Until then, I don't want to hear anything because, again, you're seeing it from the management of Benavidez. They send fake offers and they delete them off Twitter. Then when they finally get in negotiations, they're asking for TV rights. Then one day he's the Mexican monster. Then the next day he doesn't want to be the Mexican monster. Then now he's back to being the Mexican monster. So he's like, don't focus on what people say, man, because anybody can say anything one day and say that anything completely different the next. But focus on what they do. So until they fight and until Benavidez really pursues that fight, I don't want to hear about this fight anymore. I'm sick of it.
And Mr. BDA, think about this. There's 2 people in professional boxing right now with the moniker, the Monster. One is going the distance with guys a lot smaller than him or guys 3 years out of retirement who've already been stopped. And the other Monster is obliterating the best of every weight class he fights in. In the one weight class he didn't blast out the best of, all avoided him, except for Chocolatito, who tried to fight him, but that fight got stopped because he got stopped. See what I'm saying? Goes right to 122, blows out Fulton, blows out Neary, fucking knocks him out. I mean, it wasn't a blowout like it was with Fulton one-sided, but that's a monster. Those are monstrous performances going in against that kid who's only had 1 loss in his whole fucking professional career, ranked #2 on the transitional board, and knocking him out in the first punch thrown in the fight. I mean, that kid Rodriguez, boom! I mean, put his lights the fuck out. That's why fucking, so that guy earns the Monster fucking moniker. And the other guy got it put on him by Tyson and hasn't lived up to it. And that's the reason why he was making those excuses last night, coming up with all those fucking excuses.
I mean, listen, he won. I don't know. It's interesting how fragile some of these egos can be because he won, but it's just the expectation that he put on himself and his fans were putting on him was that he was going to dog walk Gvozdyk and stop him, and he couldn't do it. So it was a bit of a letdown, but hey, he got the win, man. And I want to say, too, to people, please hit the like. It really helps us out. We're at 53 likes, which is unacceptable. Let's get it up to at least 80. So if 27 people hit that like, we'll be on our way and we'll open up the phone lines. Until then, if by the next segment I don't see it up to 80 likes, I'm going to be pulling out some more reading material and we're going to sit here and we're going to learn all about Taoism. Or maybe, I don't know, do we go back to vascular physiology? Or I don't know. We'll see.
I'd stick with the vascular. I like the vascular stuff.
Anatomy? All right, we'll go to anatomy then. If people don't get it up to 80, all right? Okay, so there were other fights on the PBC card, but I want to get to another important one, and if we have time, we'll get to those. But on the zone, undefeated Liam Paro taking on El Machetero, one of the boogeymen of boxing, Suriel Matias, and pulls off the upset. That's right.
That's right. I told y'all.
I don't remember you saying that.
I recognized, bro, when he was saying, when he was calling this dude the Machetero, I was like, bro, I think upset.
He did. I was on the phone when he said he did. Sobers did say, I think that that Australian kid is going to pull out. A surprise. We're
gonna have to check. We're gonna have to verify that because I don't believe anything that comes out of Sobers' mouth.
Do it. I explained it, bro. I said
I'm kidding, Sobers.
I'm about to go.
I'm playing around. No, but you know what? Yeah, look, listen. I just say real quick that I never really bought into the Matias because I would. You know me. I'm always suggesting. Like with Tank Davis, for example. Well, what if, he gets away with this, but what happens when he can't get away with it? Blah, 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 blah. And the same thing with Matias. He fought a guy who was well-conditioned, punched with him, maintained the pace, and ended up pulling a decision. What did you guys think about that fight?
I didn't make a prediction, so I'll let Navasoba do it. I didn't know enough about the kid Paro, to be honest with you. I only saw half of one of his fights. I didn't know anything about him. He was a 10th ranked guy. Listen, it's not good for Matias. His stock took a huge hit last night because there was things he could have done last night. I saw a fighter who looked like he didn't take this kid serious in training camp. Looked like somebody who might have went through the motions in training camp. So? I didn't like any. I don't think he made any real. Did you notice any changes? Did you think he actually made any adjustments?
Well,
why trying to do the same thing, walking in straight?
I don't want to discredit Paro. Because that's sort of discrediting Paro. It's like, well, it's Matias's fault.
No, listen, that kid did a great fight. Yeah, listen, I shouldn't have put it that way. They say props to him. Good for him, man. He came to enemy territory and he did what he had to do. I just didn't know enough about him. I didn't really know anything about the kid, so I stayed away from the prediction. In fact, I didn't even know they were fighting until a week ago.
Come on, what's the matter? I mentioned it during the show. Anyway,
I really didn't. I just didn't pay attention. No, I know. I just didn't pay attention to it.
This goes to show people don't pay attention to anything I say. People don't listen to what. Just goes to show you, nobody listens to me here on this show. Everyone's just all wandering off. No, but hey, listen. I think it could be a little bit about Jimmy. Yeah, I do think maybe Matias got overconfident in the sense that he thought his style was gonna get it done against anybody. Just walk forward, outwork guys. But then again, you saw what happened here. He could not work Paro. Paro was punching with him, and what was Matias gonna do? In that, when you're a volume puncher and one guy's keeping up with you. The only plan B is outwork him, up the pace more. And, you're a human being at some point. You can't do that anymore. So then what's plan B? And that's what happened. I feel that from what I saw, that's what happened with Matias. Sobers, what did you think?
To be honest, I didn't watch the whole fight yet. I just got to see the first couple rounds. because when it was live, it switched over to Davis, right?
Yeah, they were overlapping. Yeah, we did. That was a pain in the ass.
The zone, I was like, I can go back and watch. But anyways,
that was
the first couple rounds. And I saw what I thought. I saw what I thought that Paro could do. You know what I mean? He was boxing with him. He was stepping around him in circles. And I said, if Paro wins, he has to have a chin. He showed he has a chin. And the issues that this plotter has, this Puerto Rican plotter, Matias. They're kind of exposed, you know what I mean? And the point that the crowd wasn't even upset at the decision, bro. So that's how you know. So I didn't get to see the whole fight, but I saw that I jumped in at the decision, and I seen how everyone was acting. I was like, oh man, he's cool. I know it.
Yeah, I gotta say that. By the way, I'm looking at the likes here. It's 69, 11 more, and we get to 80. Otherwise, I'm pulling out the books here. I'm pulling out the books. I already got it here. I'm holding it now. I'm prepared. But look, listen, that was a pain in the ass, by the way, overlapping main events. But I was dubious too, like you said, Paro. Could he take Matias's pressure? That was one of the big things because we know Paro had power, but did he have the work rate and the stamina to keep up with Matias? And he did. And that's the other thing. A lot of the guys that Matias was fighting were front runners from the Eastern Bloc and Central Asia, guys who were used to fighting 3-rounders, and then all of a sudden what happens? From the get-go, Paro didn't fall into the trap. He knew what type of fighter Matias was, and so he was punching with Matias. So if Matias would come in with a couple of pity pats, Paro would throw his own throwaway shots. He would shoot throwaway shots and then boom, mixing some power. And let me tell you, early on, his power was getting through Matias's guard. But he wasn't loading up because the mistake that all these other guys were making with Matias, these other southpaws with power, were like, oh, he's just standing in front of me. Let me, boom, boom, just try to tee off of it. And then after 2 rounds, he's still coming, and then he's opening up. That mentally, that breaks those guys. Paro already knew what was up, so he prepared very well for this fight. The scorecards were, hold on a second, I'm looking up here, 115, 112 twice. 116, 111. Let's talk about that, fellas. Did the referee have it in for Liam Paro?
Well, the referee had it in for fucking the kid who was fighting Davis last night. That's for sure. Well, taking that point away, but that's a different fight.
Which fight?
Yeah, I. What's that?
Which fight are you referring
to? Oh, in the PBC.
Right, but which?
Gary Russell Jr.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that one.
Yeah, when they took that shot. Yeah, but no, I to be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe I didn't pay attention enough because I watched it with the fucking sound off.
Right.
And I wasn't really paying attention so much.
Well, can I tell you what happened?
I really didn't get chances. Yeah, absolutely.
Paro was. There was a lot of holding, by the way, from Paro, which I disliked. I'm going to call him out on it because I hate clinching. But he was also, they were both hitting each other in the back. You know how it is during clinches, the guys punch each other and, they're hitting this private shots. Pavon, which is a referee, in about the 4th or 5th round, in between rounds, goes up to Paro's corner and he goes, I told you to respect me. You don't respect me. You don't respect me because you're hitting him in the back of the head. You don't respect me. And you're like, what? He was being very confrontational. He kept warning Paro over and over for different things. Finally took a point away off of Paro for, what was it, hitting behind the head or punching after the break or something. And he was being very confrontational with Paro. I've never seen a referee go up to him and say, you're not respecting me. As opposed to you're not respecting the rules, you're not respecting the fight, or you're being unsportsmanlike. I was expecting Pavon to go, listen, if you don't stop this, I'm taking you out. It's like, what? That's how the situation had gotten to. That's the point it had gotten to. That I expected Pavon to get physical with Paro. It was disgusting. The commentators were aghast, and they kept calling Pavon out, especially when he took that point away. I don't know what was up. I don't know if the fix was in, blah, 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 but man, Pavon did a horrible job. And keep in mind, Pavon's the same guy that, and he's been around for a while, Pavon, I think for at least 20 years. Pavon, he's the one that when Usyk fought Dubois, kept telling Usyk, take the 5 minutes, take the 5 minutes. And Usyk's like, no, I'm ready to go. He said, no, take the 5 minutes. Like, what? Why are you encouraging a fighter to take you're supposed to encourage the fighter to start as quickly as possible.
Crazy. Yeah, sorry, that was so crazy. To this day, that blows my mind he did that.
I don't know, man.
Never seen anything like that, right?
Pavon was acting, maybe we should change his name from Pavon to Huevon, because he was acting like a fucking fool last night. And people in the chat, I'm looking at the chat right now. Luis Pavon was awful, says I'm your leader. Just like he was awful in Vlad versus Povetkin. Oh, he was the ref in that one? He was the ref in that one. Okay, there you go. Yeah, another horrible fight where Vladimir Klitschko essentially sexually assaulted Povetkin in that fight, and this motherfucker never did anything about it. My goodness gracious, this dude, Pavon, really took the cake last night. What else are people saying in the chat?
Was it something lost in translation, though, when he was saying, you don't respect me? Was he fucking up? Does he have a hard time with English?
Yeah, he's like, that's why I was doing...
That's a stupid-ass thing to say.
Yeah, that's why I was doing the accent to try to highlight that he's not a native English speaker. But no, but he's been in he's refereed a lot of fights in English, so it's not like he just got off the boat. You know what I mean? He knows what he was saying, and it was disgusting, man.
Should have called for the commissioner right away. His corner should have, because it's the commission. He's right there. At least the commissioner or a representative for the commission should have fucking right away said, "Get over here." Know what he's in here? He's intimidating my fucking fighter. He's in here saying, "Fucking respect me." Not to fucking respect you, you asshole. I just have to listen to you.
Yeah, you know what? That's very well said, Jimmy. Very well said. See, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Did you see? Did you see when the referee was throwing body shots at Paro too? When he tried to break him up.
He was throwing body shots. He was
Throwing
digging
some
the
kitty
left foot,
shots,
man.
bro. When he was like trying to break him up.
Yeah, so Paro essentially beat Matias and the referee last night because he was up against it. And this really does shuffle the 140-pound deck because we also had, like Jimmy alluded to, Puello versus Gary Antoine Russell over the PBC side. Puello pulling off a mini upset against the undefeated Russell. It's interesting, with Russell a couple of years ago, they were trying to paint him, PBC was trying to sell him as his next sort of like Errol Spence type fighter. In fact, they had to give a early stoppages against Postal and Barthélemy in order to keep Russell his KO ratio alive, because he was 17-0 with 17 knockouts. And I like his style. I like the fact that he came forward, but he was headhunting way too much. And Puello just, took his time, hit him to the body, countered him, and ended up walking away with a decision. So the 140-pound division is quite hectic right now. Teofimo Lopez is the undisputed champion. That's right, undisputed. That's what I call him. I mean, there's no dispute that he's a champ. But now Matias is out. Haney just took a big ass whooping from Garcia. Garcia might or might not fight at 140. You still got Regis Prograis in there. You got Jack Canero. Guys, what do you expect from 140 pound? And what maybe if you could tell me what are some of the fights you'd like to see at 140? What's the one fight that you're like, all right, this has to happen?
I don't really have one at 140. I really don't. I guess Teo against I'd still like to see Teo against Matias because they're both power punches, you know what I mean? Well, he's a counter puncher, but yeah, no, I was very disappointed. Matias's boxing IQ last night, his punch selection. I don't like. There was times he should have thrown different punches. That's neither here nor there. I don't know. I like listen, Gary Russell. I love the Russell brothers. He's an entertaining fighter. I got to give it to him. When he comes to fight. Mm-hmm. And I thought he took the loss right. He didn't seem to be overly like, oh, what the fuck. I mean, just let it roll off your back, kid. You lost. You weren't blown up by no means. Take it, and learn from it. I think his problem was he comes in too straight. If he started feinting a little more and just, bopping and weaving with your head. But he's a kid clearly confident in his power, and he's so focused on hitting you that he's letting himself get hit. And all you have to do, you don't have to knock somebody out. He'll power punch. You just have to hit him. And if they're coming in, he'll stop them. They have to reset. And that's what he did all night. You kept catching him with those sneak left, punching over his fucking punches. But I like the way I thought the other kid, the Puerto Rican, put on. Oh, is he Dominican? Yeah, I thought he put on a good performance.
Yeah, Puello.
But nothing against Davis. I agree. I think he's actually one of the more entertaining of the PBC fighters, and I hope he comes back and it doesn't change him other than he just starts fighting more defensively. I still think he can be a champion at 140 because he's clearly tough and he clearly fucking bangs.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's a good point about how he was a little too eager to get his shots in. Headhunting too much too, man. He should have gone to the body. Now, I understand it's easier said than done going to the body against a quick counterpuncher like Puello, but still, I mean, those are the things you got to do if you want to break up a guy like Puello down. And Gary Russell Jr. just wasn't. I thought the fight was going Russell's way early on. Then mid-fight, Puello started taking it to him. And Puello's another guy too, by the way. Puello hits hard. I don't understand why he wasn't good to the body earlier. Again, maybe it's easier said than done when you got a guy coming at you like Russell was, but it was a good fight, man. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
And if Russell was if he was represented properly, and he should. I mean, he's only got 18 fights right now, right?
Right.
I mean, he's been around for years. That kid should have been fighting 3-4 times a year. His style just gets better with repetition.
Jimmy,
and unfortunately, it affects him.
You hit the nail on the head because that's something that we were talking about before the fight as well. And I constantly brought it up because I have a list here of inactive PBC fighters. Check this out. He fought Postal and Barthélemy in 2022. So he had 2 fights in 2022. I'm not going to get into the pandemic years because nobody really fought that much during those. But so he fought twice in 2022, once in 2023, and that was less than a round, I think. So between 2022 and 2023, it was a year, July to August. And then, so he fought in August 2023 and then June of this year, almost a 12-month layoff. So yeah, man, I mean, a guy like him who needs
a year
to
and a half, he did one round. One
Was
round
that?
of action in a year and a half.
Yeah.
It comes
I mean,
down
come
to
on.
one round in a year and a half. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Now, when you get a guy like Gary Russell Jr., I mean, obviously, inactivity is bad overall, but does that affect more or less a guy like Russell, who's a come-forward, all-action fighter?
Oh, absolutely affects him because it's about the timing. The ring rust affects your timing first and foremost. And you know what I mean? It affects your punch calluses. You know, you get used to getting punched in the head. When you fight more often, your body takes it more because you're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
The human body can become accustomed to all kinds of horrible shit. Navy SEALs prove it all the time during basic training. Shit that 99.9% of the men in the world would be like, oh, fucking out the first day or two. But they push their bodies through it because the body can take way more than we think, and it can become used to it. Used to horrible conditions. Getting punched in the head's a horrible condition. Guys who fight a lot get used to it. So when you're not used to getting cracked in the head with 8-ounce gloves on, it's been a year and a half, you fought one round, it's just harder to make correct mistakes. You don't have the feel for it. You just don't have the feel for the 8-ounce gloves. It's all those things ring rust affects, but more importantly, timing. And you saw his timing was off. You saw him miss punches that he probably wouldn't have missed if he was fighting every 6 months.
Yeah, that's a shame, man. Like you
is.
said, man, I'm glad you brought that up, that if he had competent representation, he might have... I mean, eventually he was going to take a loss because he's not exactly the best guy in there. But he's a pretty good fighter. I mean, aggressive. He can hit hard. He's got volume, hand speed. But man, I mean, this inactivity really appears to have cost him. So it is what it is with him. By the way, I'm opening up the phone lines here. I'm opening up the phone lines if anybody wants to call in and give us their thoughts on everything that transpired last night. Also, hey, by the way, so yeah, so I can't stress it enough. Shout out to Liam Paro, man, for pulling off that win. Again, this is why I always tell, man, this proclaimed boogeyman that people love to throw out, and this guy beats this guy, and this guy beats everybody's, man. First of all, Matias already had a loss against Ananian, and yeah, he avenged it, but I mean, it showed you that the guy could outwork him and outbox him. So I don't understand why some people were saying he beats everybody. It's insane, man. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm unsurprised. It's boxing. We've been through this before.
You said the phone lines are open, BDA?
Yes.
I want Mirage to call in. I want Mirage to call in. I'm calling you out. Explain what we saw yesterday. You were talking about domination, annihilation, reparations. Fuck that. Call in and explain, Mirage.
Well, I can already tell you what he's going to say, man.
He's going to predict a 6-round knockout.
I can already...
That's his prediction was.
Yeah, I can already... he's going to say, well, he beat a former champion, light heavyweight champion. First fight, dominates a guy, former champion. It's like, all right. Hey, by the way, let me just read a couple of super chats real quick. Shout out to... Who is this? JXV88. Shout out to JXV88 for his contribution with the super chat. He says, LOL, David Benavidez could knock out his 175-pounder. Meanwhile, Canelo jumped up 2 weight classes to knock out his 175-pounder. Benavidez gassed after the 5th round. All right, shout out to JXV. And shout out to Iron Templar for his contribution with the super chat. He says, these Afro bums keep getting exposed for the great hopes that they are. The best in the USA is Joe Smith Jr. Okay, he's saying the best guy. The best in the USA is Joe Smith Jr. And if you think it's Crawford, go eat dog shit. Okay, so Iron Templar coming in with a contentious point of view. I'm cleaning up here, man, because I made me spit out my drink, man.
Joe Smith Jr. would knock out Crawford, BDA. Do you agree?
I agree. Yeah, you're right. That means Crawford's not pound for pound, man.
Well, he's a better fighter.
All right. Yeah, I haven't even gotten into Carlos Adames' fight. We'll do it if we have time. That was a boring fight. Let's go to the phone lines here. Let's go to 347. 347, you're on the air. 347, what's on your mind?
Los Angeles.
What's up, fellas? It's NPR. How you guys doing?
Oh, NPR, man. What's up?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
What's happening, man? Okay, so here's what I had predicted. I predicted a boring fight for Benavidez. I didn't think he was going to stop Gvozdyk, but I thought he was going to get a decision, and that's pretty much what we got. What I want you guys to do is think about the following when you see Mirage again, and that is this: you got 37-year-old legs on Gvozdyk. You have 37-year-old timing on Gvozdyk, and you got a 37-year-old punch resistance on Gvozdyk. Okay, you got a guy whose country is absolutely in shambles. Okay, whose business has been destroyed. Okay, you had a business in the Ukraine. In addition to that, you have a guy whose psyche had been destroyed first by putting a guy in a coma and then nearly getting put in a coma by himself, and who's basically has terrible ring rust. And yet Benavidez, the Mexican monster, couldn't do anything to this guy. Couldn't do anything to him. And it was a Gvozdyk of 5 years ago. It would be a completely different story, right? And everybody knows that. So it really wasn't about what Benavidez could do. It's about how much damage that this Gvozdyk guy had taken. Now, there's none of us who could probably just function with all of that damage, psychologically, physically, your country being blown up. None of us could do that, right? And yet, Benavidez couldn't put this guy away. Not even close to being away. Not even give him a Caleb Plant-style beating. Not even close. So this is a total embarrassment for Benavidez.
He landed more shots.
He gets beaten.
My bad, bro.
Say it again?
I'll say he landed more shots against Gvozdyk than he did against Caleb Plant.
Yeah, but just
he landed more shots on Gvozdyk than he did against Caleb Plant, and he couldn't hurt him.
Yeah, and he couldn't do anything to this guy. And I mean, to me, it's just I don't know. I don't know where this guy can go. I think he's totally boxed in because he's going to have a hard time going back down to 168. But anyway, moving on. The Matias fight, I did not get correct. I picked Matias by stoppage. And, I think most people did. And it's not because I thought Paro was a bad fighter. I got to review about 3 or 4 of his fights, including the Montana Love fight. He's got beautiful timing. But he pulled out a whole bunch of veteran tricks in the bag, out of the bag. Not just holding. It wasn't just holding. He was turning Matias the whole fight. And it wasn't like Devin Haney, who misses, puts one foot in front of the next and then grabs onto the waist. It wasn't that at all. It was throw 3-punch combinations, grab him, let him go, push him back. He used head control. He broke Matias' base constantly, time and time again. It wasn't just like a boring Devin Haney, just tap the guy's glove and then grab onto the waist. Right? It wasn't that. It was a whole slew of veteran tricks, which is nice to see when it's used in combination. If it was just holding, I would say, it's just boring. Right? So congratulations to that guy. I did not think he was going to do it. Did not think he was going to be able to keep this guy off. What's beautiful about last night's fights is also Dan Raphael got 3 out of 4 picks wrong. So the guy who works for Vegas, who's on constantly trying to get you to spend your money, try to push you down, he picked Gary Antoine Russell by knockout. He picked Tank Davis by knockout. He picked Benavidez by knockout, and he picked Matias by knockout. 3 out of 4 this guy got wrong. Say it again.
I'm just saying, whoa, I'm reacting.
3 out of 4 that monkey got wrong. And I'm glad, because people are wasting their money listening to this fool who's trying to guide you into into wasting your money on, on betting sites. That's all he does now, So I'm glad. I think it was a great night for boxing. I think every person that was supposed to win got the win, including David Benavidez. But David Benavidez not going to go very far. We just see it now. He's just not going to go very far. Wow. He's basically, there's three guys that fight pretty much the same style. Pretty much. Instead of that mauling style, we got Matias, we got David Benavidez, and we have Benavidez. Now, Benavidez is the best boxer out of all of them. He's not just a mauler. And we could see why. We could see why he lasted this long.
NPR, I got to ask.
And so so only two of them are going to be left after this. Matias is exposed. David Benavidez is exposed. He's not going to be able to go anywhere. So the last one left out of that style is Benavidez. He's the last one. Bivol spanks David Benavidez like a redheaded stepchild.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
Spanks him like he owes him money.
Why is Dan Rayfield
spanks him like he stole money from him?
Okay, I got it. But why is Dan Rayfield a monkey? And when you say monkey, did you mean ape, like a fat orangutan, or break it down for us?
No, just like a fool.
Just like a fool.
Just like a fool. That monkey, that fool.
You need.
He's trying to get you to spend your money. I don't like it. That's all he does these days. He talks, and he's trying to get you to spend your money on gambling sites. Okay, I get it. You work for them. Got it. But your opinions count to guide you to spend your money where he wants you to spend your money on the bets he wants you to bet on. So that's why I call him a monkey.
So
he's
you're
just
saying,
a salesman, and that's all he is.
You're saying he needs to trim the fat from his content, off of his content. That's what you're saying. Why are you laughing? I'm asking you a question. He's laughing.
I'm just glad he, once again, he's completely gets the wrong picks, and not only that, the wrong picks for the wrong reasons. And show that. Anyway, gentlemen, see you later. I think it was a great night for boxing. See you later.
Absolutely. And I think it was a great call from your end, NPR. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there. All right, that was NPR right there, voicing his opinion, man. Hey, he wasn't holding back today, man. Not that he holds back every time, but he was on a Sunday. It was a quite provocative call on a Sunday. Shout out to NPR. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. So make sure to get those likes up. Otherwise, I'm about to pull out the another manual here of anatomy. Shout out to Pugilist Zine for his contribution with the super chat. He says, let's see Paro versus Lindolfo, a great future fight. Well, Paro versus Lindolfo. I mean, Lindolfo's with Top Rank, right? So, but I mean, yeah, why not, man? That's what I'm saying. What's that?
Okay, that guy's still fighting 8-rounders. I don't know if he's.
Yeah, that's another good point, man. I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, but 140 pounds, that's what I want to say. Yeah, 140 pounds, it's a very good division, man. Solid division. But some guys are taking losses, so things are reshuffling there in the process. Shout out to Double L for his contribution, but the super chat says, Caleb is a cuck. Matias always been a hype job. I don't know why Caleb is a cock, but we're going to talk about Caleb Plant later on after we get done with some of the stuff we got to get through here. And by the way, shout out to Rafael Garcia for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Zodiac killer voice. Okay, he's referring to, people always say NPR has a Zodiac killer voice. Come on, man. What's this thing about, making fun of people's voices? Yeah, he does sound like a Zodiac killer. He does sound like a guy who's got a big basement, probably soundproof, but that's not a reason to say that on the air. All right, Rafael Garcia, that's all I'm saying. What else was I going to say here? Oh, yeah, we got another phone call here. Hold on a second. Let's go to 336. 336, you're on the air. 336, what's on your mind?
I'm going to talk about the fights, I guess, that happened last night. I'm not really sure why Benavidez is getting all this hate for fighting a former lineal champ and decisively beating him 8 rounds to 4 when the guy came to win and Kovalev didn't throw one hard punch the entire fight. But this is a good thing since all these Canelo fans are just so excited that Benavidez looked human. I guess we'll have the nuts to finally fight him now. And also, this whole notion that Benavidez was a cruiserweight and these Canelo dick washers, just trying to protect this guy, they're just full of shit. This guy is really a small light heavyweight. I've said this for months, he doesn't have dense muscles. He's not that big. He really isn't that much.
Poor David, he's small and light heavy.
Benavidez isn't very muscular. So he's not, Canelo ain't much smaller than Benavidez in weight. Maybe 15. Canelo probably walks around maybe 10, at most 15 pounds. At most 15 pounds smaller, and that's like pushing it. So Benavidez looked good. He gassed, by about round 5. I started noticing it too, and then round 7 you could tell right away. That's why I was like, okay, this fight will go the distance. Bosta gave him some rounds, and it was a clear 116, 112 Benavidez. He looked good. He beat a former lineal champ and a top 10 guy who looked like he was in the best shape of his fucking career from what I've seen. Pictures of him and shit before the Beterbiev fight, and people want to act like Gvozdyk is bummed. I mean, he's only been knocked out by fucking Beterbiev, who's arguably one of the hardest. He's like a top 5 hardest puncher ever in the history of that division. And he's already a top 10 fighter, probably all time at light heavyweight. I mean, if he beats Bivol, which I'm picking him to do, he'll be up there with the Archie Moores, the Ezra Charles, the Bob Fosters, Gene Tunney, Michael Spinks at light heavyweight all time. All those guys. If he beats him, and he probably will. So what? Gvozdyk, getting knocked out by a top 10, maybe top 5 light heavyweight of all time means Benavidez was supposed to blast him out in his first fight. It's bullshit double standards, they have for this guy. And they're gonna light a fire up his ass, and he's still gonna beat the fuck out of Canelo, and Canelo needs to man up and fight him. So I'm gonna leave that at that. Good job, good win for Benavidez. Now,
Dora, we wanted Miraja come in here to damage.
That fight because I predicted round 7 through 9 stoppage, and that's basically what happened. It was pretty boring, apparently, from what I heard. And Gervonta Davis was giving away rounds again, very Wilder-esque. I guess people seem to forget who the fuck Nicholas Walters was, when Lomachenko fought him. And you can have all this power and whatnot, but Gervonta Davis' hand speed is overrated. It's not that good. Frank Martin looked faster than him for the first 4 or 5 rounds, really. He's on the front foot. He's a plotter. He has slow feet. Lomachenko's just going to keep it in the center of the ring and beat the fuck out of him. Even a shot to pieces, soon to be 37-year-old Loma is he's gonna buck break Gervonta Davis. It'll be another Wilder humiliation ritual. So it'll legit be a Walters 2.0 kind of fight, and he might fuck around and stop because we've never seen Gervonta Davis really get fucked up. If he starts getting fucked up in that fight, he might quit. Haney beats him too. A lot of retards don't understand. And this is what Haney had to learn the hard way against Ryan Garcia. When you're fighting guys that are smaller than you, your advantages, like your reach, your height, all that shit is going to be used to raise you as a fighter and make you a better fighter. So your game will be elevated. But when you have to fight guys your own size or guys bigger than you, giving up height and reach, your tool set basically kind of gets rusted inherently. You're not as good. And your skill set declines a little bit. That's what happens when you give up these physical advantages against these fighters that are bigger and taller than you. That's just like anyone who's ever fought knows that, but most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And most of these Tank Davis fans don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So the things that Devin Haney was able to do, stay on his toes, sometimes uses physicality, that 72-inch arm reach, to sometimes keep Loma honest with the jab, even though Loma mostly peeled it, the right hand to the body. Gervonta Davis isn't going to have any of that, because his hand speed is, I would say, the equivalent or maybe even slower than Haney's, and he's not as long or as tall as him, and he's going to get fucked up. And Haney's on his toes, so he's able to get out of range easier than Gervonta Davis is. So I can't wait to see that fight. I hope Gervonta Davis stops ducking him. And with Liam Paro, he looked great. I thought I gave Matias maybe 3 rounds. Paro looked great. I know he did a lot of clinching and shit, but he stepped to Matias, got to his chest, he was counter punching and just catching with left uppercut, straight left hand, as Matias was squared up coming in. I told all you guys that Teal would knock out Matias in 6 rounds. I know a lot of you guys believe me, but a lot of these other people, a lot of these casuals, they thought Matias was some fucking monster, and he's just a PBC hype job. So as it stands now, I guess honestly the 2 best guys at 140 are Teal and probably Jermaine Ortiz until one of them gets beat. I think those are probably the 2 most talented fighters of the division right now. So that's cool. Hopefully we can get some fights. Hopefully they can both start getting some big fights pretty soon. And there's one thing I want to talk about before I go with the cruiserweight fight. Dylan Smith looked great against Richard Rappaport, and the Avengers only lost to him about 4 or 5 years ago. He beat him 10 rounds to 2, and they tried robbing him. I mean, two of the judges gave Rykapor 5 rounds, and the other gave him 4. And he had a point deduction, too, in the 12th round. I mean, that fight was not close at all. But it was like a 118-109 kind of fight. And, yeah, he looked great. He's got 3 title fights now under his belt, 2 defenses. Avenged his only loss. He says he wants to fight in the United States. So I think he's going to fight Zurdo Ramirez next, maybe somewhere in Phoenix or on the West Coast. The top 5 matchup at cruiserweight, both coming off very dominant wins, wide unanimous decision wins. So that's a great fight. I'm really looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight too, man. I mean, a little too much clinching from Rappaport or whatever his name is. I call him Rappaport.
Yeah, he was smothering himself too. And Willem Smith stood his ground, man. He was strong. Because it looked like Rappaport would be the stronger guy, but nope.
Hey, that's the difference.
He was working well in the clinch.
That's
too,
the difference between
body and shit.
That's the difference between a boxer and a fighter, because Rappaport was doing well with the jab early, but he just didn't want to engage with the guy. Yep. He was clinching and all that. The other guy,
that's right.
William Smith, punches in bunches. That's why he's a champion, because you got to go for it. So, hey, I want to see him against Opetaya,
yeah,
even though I think Opetaya kills him.
Combinations together.
Yeah, even though I think Opetaya just murders the guy coming in. Yeah. But it would still be, because Opetaya, he seems to fucking whenever he's fought his 2 best opponents, which was what's his name? Man, I can't remember. Brady's, thank you. Yeah, Brady's. He fucking slows down in the last 4 rounds. So I wonder what would happen. I know he's craftier than William Smith, but William Smith is stronger. So I don't know. It would be interesting to see that fight too. Why not?
Yep. But I'd rather see the Zurdo fight first, just personally. And then, he can fight the German champion or whatever, Opetaya. And then you can have a double unification, 2 unified champs. Opetaya probably being lineal, I assume he'd win. And then you can maybe get a Zurdo Opetaya or, Bill Smith Opetaya fight for undisputed. I think that's great. So the cruiserweight division's looking good. And Rappaport was a top 5 guy. He was undefeated, a lot of power. He bagged him up, basically. And he smothered him. And also, Rappaport smothered himself as well. So that was a great performance. And this is going to be a big fight, hopefully, for Zurdo. And they could actually define him as a legit great fighter if he wins, become unified in a 2-weight world champ.
We shall
Very
see.
Underrated.
We shall see.
But we'll have to see. All right, I'm about to go. But David Benavidez needs to stop getting all this hate. Gvozdyk came to win, unlike Kovalev. And he came in the best shape of his fucking career. And he's only been knocked out by the hardest puncher in the history of the light heavyweight division. So that's all I had to say on that, and I'm out.
Yeah, Sobers, you disagree with it?
The only shots I saw Gvozdyk throwing were to David's solar plexus.
I mean, I couldn't stay on the line with this with Dora forever, because he's got a lot to say.
I know he's trying to do his little just bulldoze over everyone talking, whatever the fuck he read on YouTube. That's what he's trying to do right there.
Well, one thing I did disagree with him, and again, I can't go back and forth with the guy because he's got a lot to say, so we can't fucking, we can't let him go on for 5 minutes and then start getting into it with him. But he said Benavidez is a small light heavyweight. So according to him, Benavidez, who towers over everybody and looks way bigger than everybody, 168, is a small super middleweight, and so that means Canelo. But then he said Canelo is just slightly smaller than Benavidez. So apparently, I don't know. I think glasses, laser surgery, LASIK. I hear they're doing fantastic stuff with LASIK nowadays. It really helps your vision.
He's a baby at 175.
He's a baby. He's a fetus at 168. Man, come on. But yeah, man. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, we got a super chat here. Shout out to Bob Johnson. Shout out to Bob Johnson, who says, "Y'all Mexicans can't beat us. Keep hating." I don't know who's hating, and I don't know who's us, by the way. Beat us at like Mexico against Afro-Anglos.
That's somebody from my Discord BDA. That's someone just trolling, bro.
You know what I think? I think that's you, man. Some of the things I've heard about you. I think that's you.
I don't troll Rasa channels, bro.
Right. All right, but listen, shout out to Bob Johnson for his contribution to Super Chat. If there is a race war in this year, 2024, because it has been a hot year, we'll see if that pans out. The other thing I wanted to say was, speaking of wars, so we had Caleb Plant going at it with Ryan Garcia, because apparently Ryan Garcia, again, talking reckless, as they like to say in the streets, about not only Caleb Plant, but his wife, that what's her name, Jaden or something like that, who happens to be mulatto, by the way. She's not a full-on on that side. So maybe Ryan Garcia likes that. I think he said before he likes them exotic. So he was talking reckless about his wife. So Caleb Plant says, if I see you, it's on. And this is what ended up happening in... I'm laughing because I'm watching it now. This is what happened in Vegas, all right? So this Caleb Plant with the white... hold on a second. I got to wait for the graphic here to go down. Shout out to Chris K. I'll read your super chat later, man. Hold on a second. So this is what happened. Caleb Plant here, you're going to see him on the left side with a white cap on. Ryan Garcia being escorted by his large entourage out the arena. And this is what happened. So he throws a beer at him. Hold on a second. Why isn't there any sound? What the fuck is this? All right, there's no sound for some reason. But you can see Caleb Plant throws a drink. There's a melee that occurs here. Here it is in slow motion, him throwing the drink. This is like a Zapruder film. A brouhaha occurs. All of a sudden, planting his entourage on the floor. He falls on the floor. This guy in gray looks like he's going to do something. He ends up doing nothing. I don't know who he is. There you see Caleb Plant there.
Oh, I didn't see that angle, bro.
This one?
Damn, they fell down like Clarissa Shields, bro.
Forward into the back. Forward into the back.
Yeah, man. I mean, so that's what I mean. Caleb Plant's not playing around, man. He slaps people. He throws drinks. All right, here's another angle then. This from Fight Hub.
No, I do like that from Caleb Plant, though, bro. Some people like Ryan thinks it's funny. Oh, I fucked your wife. I fucked your wife. Blah blah. Yeah, bitches like him, bro. But some people take that marriage seriously and don't go in for theirs. So
that's right. And he did it to Kambosos, but Kambosos is a million miles away. This dude was right there, and he wasn't playing around.
I can't see it. It's not letting me see it on the stream. It won't turn on. So what is he? Did he? All right, now it's showing. Did Garcia try to at least come back at him?
It appears like he did, but he was being held back by a sizable entourage. Here's another angle, Jimmy. I don't know if you saw the first one. Can you see it now, though?
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
Okay, this is my favorite angle.
Forward into the back. Forward into the back. It's a Pruda film. Did somebody knock Plant down?
Yeah, I think they.
Is that Plant on the ground?
Yeah, that's Plant.
That's Plant on the ground kicking?
Yeah.
Kicking and screaming? Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Is that him on the ground making female noises?
Nah, okay, come on. He's not making... Jimmy, what's the matter with you? He fell. I mean, it didn't appear like they punched him. It seems like everyone just barged forward and dropped him. Him and his friend there.
They probably tripped over the chairs behind them, you know what I mean, after they pushed him off.
Yeah.
These guys really weren't trying to fight him.
Those who can't see it, I'll give a breakdown. He throws the drink and he ends up on the ground in a fetal position, making girly sounds.
Okay, come on. Where are you getting this thing about the girly sounds? There's no girly sound. Come on, we gotta clarify. There's no such thing as girly sounds.
He's just busting balls. Yeah, he's on his ass, kicking out like a UFC
he's kicking
fight.
Out like when your big brother's about to whoop your ass. You know, you're trying to kick him off you, and you're on the floor.
Mom! And you're yelling for your mother.
You guys are mean, man. You guys are mean. The guy was just standing up for his wife. You know, Ryan Garcia talking about Ryan Garcia, though he's pushing the limit, man. He's talking about raping now.
No, he got
What did Garcia say about his wife?
Well, he said the same thing about Kambosos, that he was going to bang Kambosos' wife, steal her away from him. Now he's saying he wants to rape Caleb Plant's wife. So I mean, come on, I don't
No,
know.
he said he already fucked her, BDA. He said I already smashed, I licked her pussy, and I showed you proof. So,
there you go.
What?
Yeah, like, yeah, bro, he is crossing the line, bro. Like, if I was Caleb Plant, I wouldn't want to slap the shit out of him, you know?
He crossed it a long time ago, man, when he did it with Cambosos. But it's just now finally it escalated physically, so now it's getting more attention. But yeah, this guy's a bozo, man. Saying that, and then he'll come back and say, "I was just kidding, bro."
You don't kid like that shit. Like, I hope your daughter gets run over by a train. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
So
you know what I mean? It's like there's certain things you don't fucking kid about. You know, you just can't take everything back. But certain things leave you. I mean, that hangs out there for life. Like now you got to own it. You can apologize for it, but you got to wear that like a chain of shame.
Well, I think Ryan Garcia has a lot of chains in his bedroom, if you know what I mean. A lot of leather and chains and masks. But my point is this, man. He's been trying too hard now to be the I don't care type of fighter. And this falls on De La Hoya too, mind you. Because De La Hoya is a guy who tries to be classy. Meanwhile, he's the most decadent person out there. Or at least as far as people say, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't speak out of school. But he's a guy that when he was going at Ryan Garcia last year, he's like, oh, Ryan Garcia doesn't take it seriously, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden, Ryan Garcia pulls off a big win over Haney. Now all of a sudden, he's back on his train. It's like, man, this dude, Ryan Garcia, is going to turn on De La Hoya again this year. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. Yeah, right? I mean, I don't understand why De La Hoya is supporting this guy.
I'm hearing rumors that they haven't got paid all the way. Him and Devin Haney, so
yeah, they're already complaining.
However long that goes, they're definitely gonna fall out over that. I can already see it.
Well, what it is, they get their guaranteed, but now they're divvying up the money for the pay-per-view. They haven't been paid for that yet. I don't understand why it's taking this long. I mean, usually the money goes to the promoter, then over to them. So it's up to Golden Boy. I don't know why they haven't received it.
But you know what? That's what got to me, Jimmy, when people on Twitter were saying that they looked at those tweets and they're like, oh, people are saying that PBC is going out of business. Meanwhile, they don't talk about how De La Hoya can't pay his fighters. I'm thinking, see, again, no nuance, no reading in between the lines. They don't read the content. They just don't know what they're talking about. Like you said, it's not the guarantee has already been paid. It's the back end money. And from what I understand, I think they've got about 90 days to do so. And so we haven't had.
Oh, yeah.
So 90 days.
I think it's in the contract. It's 90 days, I think, in the contract. That's exactly what it usually says in most boxing contracts, to pay any back-end money. So it's not even outside the time.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. When people immediately they're grasping at straws over the PBC. It's a little sad to watch. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. And let me read a couple of super chats here. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution to be the super chat. He says, Gvozdyk, pity pats and slow legs. Benny still couldn't press. David never steps up as long as he makes enough against no hopers. All right. Shout out to Chris K for his contribution right there. He feels that Benavidez is not stepping up in competition and that he's going to keep fighting guys that he's the favorite over. Shout out to Jesus Pardo for his contribution with the super chat. Hey, take away the D and this guy might be related to Paro. You know, hey, Jesus, take my advice. You want to be a superstar? Take the D out of that name. You know, some people have to take the D out of something else, if you know what I mean, or they have to put the D in to make it in business. But hey,
sometimes they have to take the D out of their mouths. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Hey, Sunday show, fellas. Sunday show. Come on, guys. What's the matter with you? But shout out to Jesus Pardo who says Caleb looked gassed after throwing the beer. yeah. Maybe that's what happened. He was gassed, man. He wasn't in shape.
That's why he fell down and shit.
Right, that PBC schedule fails to keep these guys in shape. And good point from Jesus. Shout out to him. And shout out to Rafael Garza who says Joey Merlino sounds like Jimmy. Who's Joey Merlino?
A mobster in Philadelphia, Joey Marino. He was kind of a scumbag, but he robbed everybody, including his friend's mother's jewelry. He kind of took over the Philly mob after the guy got put away by the feds. I heard there was rumors he was never even really made. I don't know, but yeah, he's still alive. He has a YouTube channel now. Never heard many good things said about Joey Molino, although he does bring, when he does his YouTube shit, I guess he brings papers. He holds up papers and shit. I haven't seen him in years. read about him, Mr. BDA. You'd find him fascinating.
I like how we're on a boxing show, and I just asked and cast aside a question like, who is he? Jimmy gives me the dossier, the whole file on this guy. Oh yeah, he did 5 years in Kuwait, Alcatraz.
To surface, I know a lot about Joey Marlino, man. You ought to really check into him.
Sounds like you know a little. Sounds like you might know too much, Jimmy. Don't say that, because if you know too much, you know how these guys
mob into the ground. Him and John Stanton. They used to send hit groups out after each other, and they couldn't find each other, or they would get lost in the city of Philadelphia. That's how intelligent they were.
Hey, but what's the white guy accent in Philadelphia? Because I remember I saw Eastern Promises. They supposedly, there's a Philly mob in that movie, and they got the Philly accent, the Irish guys over there from Philly. But is it similar to Boston, or is Boston just a league on its own? I mean, Boston's completely fucked up onto its own. You got a lot of guys from Providence who sound kind of, they drop their R's a little bit. Philly's more of a mix between, Midwestern and New York City than they are. They're closer to New York City than they are Boston. Interesting. And by the way, just the mob, the Philly mob, was it a big deal at one point, or?
It always played second fiddle to New York. New York never gave him much respect. The only reason they even fuck with him was because of Atlantic City. Because Philly ran Atlantic City.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. I always thought it was like a New Jersey mob that ran Atlantic City.
No, New Jersey mob was so weak they didn't even run Atlantic City. Philly mob did. It was ran for years by a real good mobster. It was everybody's seen the picture. He's in the front seat of his car with his mouth wide open, his head back. Got somebody walked up from behind with a shotgun, boom, and blew his brains out. He was called a something Dawn, the kind Dawn or whatever, because he didn't believe in homicide. He tried in last resort, and then little Phil, the rat, came into power and he was insane, and he literally started killing everybody, including groups of his own people. Like Phil let his nephew, when he tried to even have him killed. Yeah, complete lunatic. And it just ruined the mob.
He didn't
when it all fell apart. That's when that dude Monroe took over.
He didn't like homicide. He wants to be a mob boss. He didn't like violence either. Like, no, guys, let's settle things. Let's settle things, guys. Let's settle things with our words, guys. No need to get violent. No need to get zesty. It's like, come on, man. What's the matter with this dude?
Well, it was because he knew. It was like, don't deal drugs for the longest time. Stay away from narcotics. Keep that in the city. Well, because they knew they wouldn't have the politicians would turn their backs on them, and they knew too much bodies in the street bring heat. So, that's why he would try to avoid at all costs. There was people he had killed, but if he would always try to do an solution out of it, not to bring the feds down on him.
I'm gonna go to medical school.
Leaving bodies in the street.
I'm gonna go to medical school, but I hate healing people. Yeah, it's like, what is this? I'm going to become a zoologist, but I hate animals. I mean, this dude, no wonder he couldn't keep a hold on New Jersey. What's the matter with this dude? What else, man? So Jimmy sounds like Joey Merlino. I'm going to have to check that guy out, see if the comparison is apt. Otherwise, Rafael Garza is gone. What else do we have last night? Oh, yeah, Adames. Carlos Adames took on Terrell Gaucher. Which, by the way, why can you guys are American or more or less? But gosh, his name is spelled Gausha, and yet they say Gaucher. Like here in Quebec, when you talk with French, you're supposed to have. What's that?
His name's not French.
Well, there's supposed to be a diacritical mark of some sort so for it to sound like Gaucher. Is that how it usually is over there?
Black.
But explain that one to me. Why is his name pronounced Gaucher, where it's... I always thought it was Gausha. That's what I call him, Gausha. Sounds like a Native American name or something.
I figured it was a French name, but if you said there's a character missing, it might have just been spelled in a ghetto fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, be that as it may, Adames ended up winning a boring decision over Gaucher. Adames, it just seems he's a boxer puncher. But when you don't give him an opening, he just doesn't know what to do. And it was night and day, his performance against Gaucher compared to Tim Tszú's performance over Gaucher, where Tim Tszú, he got dropped early, but then stuck to Gaucher like glue and beat him up. Whereas Adames, it just seemed like he was inept. Did any of you guys see the fight?
No, because Garcia puts
I
me to
did.
sleep. Yeah, and
Unfortunately, I did BDA.
that's a French name, I believe. He's probably from Haitian descent or something.
It's only he's not from he's not from Louisiana or something. Like kind of like Progray's name.
That would make sense then. Yeah, that would make sense.
That's what I figured.
Well,
bro,
isn't he
I don't
from
know.
like? Isn't he from like where fucking Broner's from? I thought he was Ohio, dude. I might.
Ohio? I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
He's fucking boring, bro. We're giving this fool too much energy to his name, dude. He's boring as fuck.
Yeah, you didn't miss much, Jimmy. I mean, Adames, he was just staring. Then he would leap in with shots, and Gaucher would just turn them or block the shots. And, Adames, I like watching him fight, but you got to put him in there against the guy that's going to go at him. Otherwise, it's just snooze face. It's snooze night all night long. And I don't know, man. It seems maybe, too, he has no confidence in his stamina. Because we all saw what happened when he fought Teixeira a couple of years ago. He was battering Teixeira. And then all of a sudden, from one round to the next, his gas tank went from 100 to 0. And so maybe that's why he feels. Maybe he feels he's got to pace himself. But I don't know. It's the middleweight division right now is very thin. You got Janibek in that division who, well, he says he wants to go to 168 too, I think, at one point. But he's been calling everybody out. And you know me, I don't pay too much attention to call-outs. I'm more about the action itself. But what do you guys think? Is Adames on borrowed time here if he ever fights Janibek? You guys tell me.
Yeah, Johnny Beck would fucking bash him. Just being honest,
There's
there's
footage of Terrence Crawford sparring with this dude Adames.
Yeah,
he didn't look too bad in there. I do think Johnny Beck would beat Adames. He's like a one-handed fighter. He was looking for the right hand the whole time against Gausha, and he couldn't find it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
Was stiff. He wasn't even moving that well. It was a strange fight. It was pretty boring.
It was boring, and then again, it was Adames. If you want, again, you've seen the pattern here with the PBC. He hadn't fought since June of last year, so he was coming off a 12-month layoff or thereabouts. Let's say 11.5-month layoff. Let's be generous. He could have been that rust too as well. But then again, like I said, that's the problem. He resigned with the PBC on top of that. He just recently, a couple of days ago, re-signed with the PBC. So evidently, whoever's handling him, his manager, whatever, or he himself as well, feels like that's the schedule that they want to keep. One fight per year. And then when the Janibek fight comes along and Janibek wipes the floor with him, or if he wipes the floor with him, the excuses are going to come out. Oh, well, I wasn't I didn't prepare properly. You know what it's going to be. But it's if you're signing with a promotional company that will only give you one fight per year, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I like Adames. He's heavy-handed, but he really needs to step it up here. If you look at the middleweight division here, like I said, that's the other thing. Elijah Garcia ended up getting upset yesterday. Kyron Davis outboxed him. I didn't see that fight.
Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up, BD. I don't want to talk about that fight, bro.
Why?
Because I was fucking hyping this dude, Elijah Garcia, and I beat Kyron Davis's ass. And he just touched him with every right hand. That shit was crazy, bro.
Thomas, didn't he lose a fucking unanimous decision to Teixeira?
See, again, that's why I said, Jimmy, I mentioned that earlier. See, Jimmy's going quiet now because now your Joey Merlino accent doesn't intimidate me, Jimmy. Let me tell you that much right now. You're not going to intimidate me. To answer your question.
Is that what you said? I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. Like now. My bad.
Real quick. Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, Teixeira beat him. It was a war, though. It was a close fight, though. But that's my thing, though. Adames started off well, and then after the six, his gas tank just went kaput. So that's why I was saying maybe against Gaucher, that's why he looked very hesitant, because he doesn't have confidence in his gas tank. But right now we're talking about Elijah Garcia, by the way, who got upset last night against Kyron Davis.
Yeah, bro, he got completely schooled, dude. And then when they read out the scorecards, I seen one of them had it for Elijah Garcia, bro, and I started jumping up and down screaming, "Please rob this motherfucker!"
Come
on,
rob
his ass. And they didn't, bro.
Come on, man. What's the matter with you, man? First of all, Sobers, you shouldn't feel bad because, hey, you got one right. I mean, you predicted Paro was Well, I don't know if you predicted it outright, but I mean, you did say that you were unimpressed with Matias, so you got that one right. Yeah, you got Elijah Garcia wrong. It happens. Some of these prospects, what is he, like 19 or something?
20.
20. Okay, so there
or
you go.
21 or something.
Yeah, like Dora calls Benavidez a baby. Now, the Elijah Garcia is a real baby, boxing wise. At 20 years old, I mean, what the fuck? You're still, you're far from hitting your physical prime. So, don't worry about it. Well, we'll see what happens. I didn't see the fight. I just saw the highlights because I wasn't watching the prelims. But
man, it was like moving like molasses.
But see, that's how thin the division is. The middleweight division is. That Ring Magazine had Elijah Garcia in the top 10, lower top 10, but they had him.
They're pushing him too fast. They should take it more like you know what I mean? They're around the same age. He has potential. Slow him down. This dude has been in there with David Benavidez. David couldn't drop him, and he was Canelo's sparring partner. So you know he could take a punch, bro.
Yeah, that was a weird man. That weird one. And again, hold on a second, where is it? Okay, so like I was saying, the middleweight division kind of iffy, kind of thin. Although you're seeing some new blood in the form of number 3. Hamza Shiraz, that's right. Carlos Adams number 2, Janibek number 1. Lara still alive here, fighting once a year. There's still a heartbeat in that career of his. At number 4, Chris Eubank Jr. Rumor is that he's going to be fighting. He might fight Shiraz in a Wembley mega card that will include Joshua Dubois, Inoue, MJ, and I forget who else. So if everything pans out, that we might see Shiraz against the number 5 guy, Chris Eubank Jr. Nur Sultanov. I don't think I've seen that guy fight before. You got Itona Oliha from Italy. Yeah, he looks Italian. At number 10, Liam Smith, number 9. But I mean, whatever. And Felix Cash is a guy that did he just recently fight?
What weight was that Caron Davis Garcia fight? What weight did they fight at?
It's a good question. I'm assuming middleweight, but I don't know if it was a catchweight. Sobers, was it a catchweight or was it straight up middleweight bound? See, Never Sobers doesn't listen to me either. Nobody listens to me when I'm here on the podcast. Everyone's off doing their own thing. Punching people. All right. Well, Jimmy, I'm going to go assume he was one. People in the chat are saying 160. People are saying 160.
Okay. So Davis went down in weight after fighting Benavidez, huh? At 168.
Oh. You know what? I hadn't thought of that. Now that you mention it, yeah, man. I don't know. Okay, so apparently
he came up and went to fight David that one time, and then he went back down. You know what I mean?
Right. And Jimmy, that's the other thing. Garcia came in overweight, I think, yesterday. I mean, the day before at the weigh-in.
Okay. Yeah, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe he fought. It was a few fights. I know he fought at least a couple of fights before Benavidez at that weight at 168. I know he beat Anthony Jarrell or got a split decision draw. I believe it off Jarrell, and then I don't forget who he fought, but it was at 168. So I guess, but he was always on the cusp of on the smaller side. So he went down to 160 to fight him. That's just weird to see a guy getting older and going down in weight.
Yeah.
Supposed to show you, guess never really a true 168er.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, Benavidez, according to some people, Benavidez isn't a one true 68-pounder either, man. He's a small 168-pounder. Come on, man. Give him a break.
He's a baby.
Yeah, because Dora called in earlier and said that Benavidez, that the Benavidez-Gvozdyk fight proves that Benavidez is not a big 168-pounder. Yeah, I mean, it couldn't mean that he's too big for 168, but that his true colors come at 175. No, it must mean that he's right where he belongs at 168, according to some people. But
bigger than everyone else.
At over 200 pounds by his own admission.
There you go.
When asked.
I mean, the amount of spin people try to.
If he walks around at over 200 pounds.
Exactly. So the amount of spin some people put on this is a little outrageous, if you ask me. But hey, listen, it's the boxing game. It's the box. That's how it is with fans, fighters, managers, everybody. We got people. There's different perspectives, you know. That being said, fellas, we do have to go. Before we do so, is there anything we missed? Anything you guys want to talk about before we depart?
Nope. I think we gave enough digs where they belong. I just can't wait. I mean, I bought the thing last night because I wanted to see the Benavidez fight. Wanted to see if he lived up to that monster moniker. Last night, I did not see a monster. Just didn't see it. I didn't see the guy. A monster. I mean, from what we were told, he'd go up to 175 and clean out the division. He only hasn't because he's been waiting for Canelo. Well, if you go up and you take on a guy on the smaller side, remember, because he was lighter than Benavidez, and Benavidez beat that dude's brains in. So
hey, Jimmy,
that was a monstrous performance. Yes.
Speaking of performances, there's also real quick the pay-per-view performance. We probably expect the numbers this week, not from the representatives directly, obviously, because if they didn't do well, they're gonna stall for as much as they can. But when it comes to Rick Glacier, for example, he gives the numbers. He used to give the numbers from Showtime because that was TV. But now we're entering the zone, payperview.com, Amazon. Do you think he actually gets the true numbers, or what do you think is going on there?
Well, remember, a lot of the ways these guys figure it out too is by what these guys are paid. If he knows these lawyers, like he said, who are involved in that end of the world, I mean, how you can figure out if what a fighter gets paid on the back end and what they sell, they get the true numbers. So a lot of times it'll get leaked, like Garcia against Haney did over 500,000 buys, which even shocked me. I was like, wow, even with the piracy, did over 500,000. Did last night's fight do 500,000 buys? I'd be absolutely shocked if it came even close. So by that metric, Garcia is the face of boxing then, because that's what they've been saying Davis is. He's the face of boxing because he did 1 million buys. So remember, if that's your metric, and Garcia, I guarantee, did more against Haney, then that was a double headline too. That wasn't just Davis against that fucking prospect they dragged in fucking the other fight. So that was a double headline, and I guarantee it didn't do 500,000. Again, I'd be shocked. So
yeah, we shall
say it. He's the face of boxing.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, they got to keep the same standards. They said because supposedly Tank Davis did more than Canelo for one fight, then at that moment he is the face of boxing. Well, now if it shifts the other way, then it's Ryan Garcia and Haney are the faces of boxing. That's just the way it goes. We got a phone call coming here. Last minute phone call. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to 510. 510. You're on the air. 510. Oh. What's on your mind?
Oh.
Hey, what's up, Jimmy? ¿Cómo estás? Want to talk about the... What's up, dude?
What's up, bro? What's up?
Yeah, I wanted just to call in about... Go ahead.
Sobers is saying hi to you.
What's up, bro?
Anyways, hey, what's up, Jimmy?
Come on, don't do it. Come on, hold on. It's a Sunday show. It's a Sunday show. He's saying hi to you. You got to say back, man, at least. Recognize him.
Yeah, I was just gonna make this observation.
Yeah, I know you were gonna say that. I know you were just gonna say that. But I mean, it's a Sunday show. He's extending the olive branch to you, and I don't know. You don't seem to want to re-extend it back. You don't seem to want to grab it back. What's the matter? I don't understand. He's extending the olive branch. Sobers, come on, man. Just re-establish Sobers, because I don't think he's listening to you. Maybe he didn't hear his overs. Re-extend the olive branch just once and see if he takes it. I just want to see what he says.
I said, what's up, bitch?
Nah, okay, come on. Okay, come on. Wait.
Benavidez looked similarly. He looked very susceptible to like.
Hold on. Hey, booty juice. You have to rewind because we didn't hear what you were saying because you were talking over me. So you gotta restart the whole thing.
Yeah, Jimmy, I just wanted to cross this over to you. Basically, I made the comment towards you a long time ago that I was suspicious about Benavidez' gas tank, and pretty much what I thought would happen did.
The fuck? Oh, shit. Hold on a second. Hey, hold on. Okay. Hey, Booty Juice, could you just rewind? Because for some reason, I think your line's going out or something. We're having trouble with the phones. Could you just rewind another 20 seconds?
Yeah.
20 seconds. 20
Yeah,
seconds.
like I was saying, Jimmy. Jimmy. Well, I was gonna ask you this. What do you think about Benavidez's gas tank then? Because I saw some vulnerabilities. You know, I mentioned to you before that I was kind of one of the only ones speaking on that. That I don't think he's.
The fuck. 1 second. No, don't touch. I'm gonna put.
Well,
okay. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on. He's cutting off. Hold
I'm
on.
telling him he's fading.
Buttigieg, you're fading. You're cutting off. Could you just rewind it 20 seconds and Jimmy will answer your. Well, 5 seconds. Make it quick because otherwise I think you cut off. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello? Hello?
Yep.
Am I loud and clear or am I still cutting in and out?
I can hear you. I don't know if they can, but I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they don't matter. But I was going to say this, So my suspicions, I think, were proven right yesterday about his gas tank, and I was just going to ask you what you thought, too, because I think that's the problem with Benavidez. He uses, obviously, his weight to just absorb the punishment. It's something special. That's why I'm not overhyped about the guy. I wanted to be on the train, but then, nah.
Did he cut off again? Hold on a second.
Yeah, it's like
All right,
fading away.
Buttigieg,
It's not
one
like he's
more
not
time.
dropping, it's fading.
Yeah, Buttigieg, go again. Ask him again, but this time just do it quickly. Just 5 seconds and ask him. Get your question across quickly, please.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
heard
was
the
just going to
question,
ask
Mr.
Jimmy.
BA.
I was just going to ask.
Did you hear the question then? Or?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I heard the whole
Okay,
thing.
he'll answer your question. Go ahead, just answer his question, real, please. This is killing me here.
No, yes, I did see. I did notice his conditioning. I think what a lot of that might have been, he's not acclimated to the weight. I know it sounds strange to think, well, it's only going from 168 to 175. Why should his legs get heavy? That's a big difference. There's the benefit, the negative of melting down to 168. You kill yourself to get down that weight. But then when you spend years fighting at that weight, your body gets accustomed to fighting at that weight. I guarantee you, in closed doors, he's saying to his people, and on the inside, like, "Oh man, my legs were fucking heavy." Because what happened was, he was responding to Govad wasn't turning over his punches. He wasn't trying to, he was pity patting the first 5-6 rounds. Because of that, David Benavidez had big ass balls. He wasn't worried about anything coming back because wasn't anything on him. So he was throwing big and hard, and he was missing big and hard. The combination of that and the extra weight, I think going into the final rounds, he was really hurting.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, regardless, I don't see the guy doing anything 175. Like I said, he'll be like the lower talent. I don't think he'll beat any big names. Bebo.
I
Hello?
agree.
Are you guys there?
He's not. Yeah, he's not ready for Pavel. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll let you have a good one, man.
Could you rewind another 20 seconds, Mike? I couldn't hear you. Cut off again, man.
I think he said goodbye. I think.
All right, Jimmy.
All right, then he said goodbye. All right. I know his phone line was all over the place today. Yeah, but that's a good point you made there, Jimmy. I mean, I want to see him. He has to make a decision, either 175 or 168. I don't want to. Well, I might be at 175. I might camp. You're not Henry Armstrong, man. I want to see a guy say, "I want," and forget about the saying things. I want to see him the mandatory enforce that. I want to see him go after the WBC too. Put them on the spot. Because if the WBC really is in business with Canelo, then okay, show it to us. But again, I don't see it that happening. And
even in the come up on the fight, he mentioned that. He mentioned, well, I was Canelo's mandatory, but he didn't fucking, but they didn't fight me. Like, you were the mandatory, but you didn't file a paperwork to become mandated.
Right. And it's a fight. It's a fight most people want to see.
You didn't push the fight.
Exactly. And it's a fight most people want to see. So I don't understand why. Boxing, it's been doing well, especially with the Saudis. They've been giving us the fights we want, although at a certain price too, though. We're going to talk about that one maybe this week. But this is a fight that should be happening, and it's not. And it seems like it's boxing as usual when it comes to that.
Well, can you mentioned the Saudis, man? You brought up such a good point. I think that explains Tank Davis exposed himself to his reaction to the Saudi money. that made him scared because the Saudis, remember the prince was like, all right, I'll pay for it, whatever, let's make this fight happen. Instead of him, like everybody else, going, no shit, there's money, it's available, it's legit, it's real, it's right there. I just got to go there and fight. How did Tank take that? Thinking someone's willing to pay you millions of dollars to go and fight. Instead of being, oh, wow, I appreciate it, man. I don't know. I'll check with my people. Whole bunch of different ways he could have handled it. His response was, fuck him. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
Give me 2 Ferraris. Yeah, it pissed you off because he's not going to let you fucking pick in-house guys who never unaccomplished in-house fighters. Because look at his resume. Who has he beat? Period. What have they gone on to do? Any of them?
Exactly. It's yeah. I mean, listen. It's. Well, I'm waiting for the numbers to come out, the alleged numbers, because you're gonna see a whole thing with that too. One side's gonna say that the numbers were this, and then another side's gonna come up with a different figure, and it's gonna be a pandemonium. But shout out to everybody in the chat too, by the way, who's been with us here. We're gonna go very, very soon. We gotta go. The England game already started for the Euro. Shout out to some rando says, I don't worry about the prices. Case study says Canelo is ducking Benavidez. Alejandro Solis says Booty Loose is a money timer. His truck stop hours can mean money. Okay, come on. I'm your leader says Tank ego cost him millions. No says Benavidez ducking Morel. Oh, that's the other thing. Morel, he's acting like Max Cady now. He's stalking Benavidez. Says wherever you go, I go. He says you're not the best at 175. I am. I'm chasing you. I'm taking over. And so that's what he tweeted out. So he still wants that Benavidez fight, probably understanding that the Canelo fight for him is a long shot. So he'd rather get in there with Benavidez. So that's what we had this week for boxing. We'll try to be back as soon as possible this week. What do we got? We got...
now,
what?
That's so right, Mr. BDA. If he's the monster, if you're that killer, take Morel out. You get a guy on your side of the fence, right? Mm-hmm. Straight up calling you all kinds of names, like bad names, questioning your manhood, that you ducked him. In fact, your own people, your own handler said the fight was made with Morel. It was even announced, they had it released through compliant media that, the fight with, Morel has, remember that was all said, wow, Benavidez is fighting Morel. That's awesome. And also Benavidez, there he is. I never fucking signed that fight. All right, dude. What's your excuse? You're not going to get Canelo right away, obviously, or I don't know, maybe he's going to fight him in September. I don't know. But in the meantime, there's a guy, a fucking true test, a young lion, not some coming out of retirement, not somebody dragged up from a lower weight class. Dude, young, tough power puncher. Take him out. Seriously, take him out. Make it to the point where you're the only guy left for Canelo to fight.
I mean, listen,
he don't move like that.
He's just a baby.
I'm tired, man, of that fucking saga, Canelo versus Benavidez, and just people don't want to see. People just focus on what a guy says and not what a guy does. And I like Benavidez fight. I like watching him fight. I want to see the Canelo fight, but it's just one of those dramas. It's like when Fury was retired and people were saying, well, when's he going to come back? When he comes back, he's going to be this guy, that guy. So I'm thinking, look, when he comes back, we'll talk about him. Until then, leave him in a gutter somewhere. All right, listen, fellas.
What did we say? What did we say about Fury? Real quick, what did we say about him after the fucking fight against Usyk? I said, how will he look in the next fight? Depends on how he handles this. Does he handle it the way how he reacted after the Klitschko fight? The first public viewing I've seen of him was literally falling down outside of a fucking bar room, face planting in the sidewalk, being so drunk.
Yeah, that was it's a bad look, man.
This dude, saw that, right? That's a bad look, man.
He likes living in the La Vida Loca. That's what he likes. So, yeah, man. And that's the worst thing is I think he has a shot at beating Usyk in the rematch. He was doing very well the first 6 rounds. And now he's just thinking, hey, let me party it up. That's not how it works. Excuse me. That's not how it works, man.
And now I'm not even sure the rematch will even take place. I'm not even sure it'll take place.
That's, yeah. Good point, man. All right. Well, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Want to give a big shout out to Jimmy, Never Sobers, for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Everybody that called in, everybody that donated the super chat, and everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Quentin Lassiter, Protectorate General, Vince Vegas, Juan, Mark T, Who else we had here? Who else did we have? We had Uncle Burnt apostrophe, some rando. Trying to put on the music here at the same time. Yes, indeed. All right, shout out to Eparokua, Nose, I'm Your Leader, Chief Burn Leaf, Protector General, Juan Noy, Jos Delgado, Dark Hey Dog, Quentin Lassiter, double L. And if I missed anybody, it's because we gotta go, fellas. I gotta get myself something to eat. So shout out to you, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Catch you in the next one. Take it easy, fellas. Whoa.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be alright, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing, but don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.